to forget that. But today I remembered. We're recording. We're live. I have room on the C drive. Excellent. Okay, wait. Let us make sure that my stream capture is good. Is this going to work? I should have checked before I went live. Yes, that's working great. Okay, fantastic. Okay, we're live. All right, what are we? What is it, the 9th? Getting to be about a third of the way through April, and I'm still going live every single day, except for the 2 days that I was banned from TikTok for accidentally saying some words I shouldn't have said. Oopsie daisy. All right, let me know if the sound is good. Let me know if I'm coming through. Let me know if the stream quality looks good. The prompt today, MAGA are on the wrong side of history. It's just a prompt. People don't really actually have to talk about what it says on the sign. I just try to, do the little creative exercise every day of writing a new thing on a piece of paper to hang over my shoulder, because I like doing a physical in-camera sign. It's fun. I don't see anybody else doing that. That just, when people are scrolling, they're going to be like, oh, what does that say? And then they're going to be like, oh, MAGA's on. No, I'm not on the wrong side of history. People are totally going to be excited that Trump bombed a school and that we had an adjudicated sexual offender as our president. And, yeah, that's going to totally look great in the history books. So people, who we got? We got Bori. What's up, bro? How we doing? I don't actually recognize your username. Are you a regular? Maybe you can remind me. And people change their usernames sometimes. Ooh, I got a smudge on my glasses. I can't see. Hard to read the chat with smudges on my glasses. All right. I'm excited. The live streams have been going incredible. Getting like 100, 200 viewers every single day with just me sitting in a chair, which is incredible. I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. The fact that I get like an actual go of this is like truly remarkable to me. Anyway, been following for a couple days now. Okay, Bori, if you came in the last couple days, you've been seeing some good streams. Yesterday in particular was like, I don't know, man. I was going to say I must have slept right or something, but I didn't. I was sleep deprived. I was like 3 hours sleep deprived because I was up super late the night before playing music. Truly remarkable. Millennial at its finest. What? Okay, what do you mean? Yeah, I'm like excited about my streams being like adored by many people. That's exciting for me. Yeah, like truly remarkable. Anyway, I had like some music practice the night before, and that went super duper late. So I went to bed at like 3 a.m, and I woke up at 7 or something, 6 or 7, and I went to work, and then I came home from work and I had a live stream, and I thought, this is going to be terrible. My brain is not going to be working properly. No, it was working. My brain was working yesterday. I got to cooking. I'm starting to experience a little bit of that debate host like flow state where I just like completely stop thinking and just start yapping, and it works. But I think a big part of that is just that all the other minutia stuff that I have to pay attention to is getting more second nature. It's easier for me to pay attention to the chat and moderation and stuff like that. Man, Jacob is so mad. Like, like how incredible. He's like. You're mad about what? You're mad that I use the phrase truly remarkable and your president is a sexual offender and you don't care? Like, get your priorities in order, man. Call in. Actually, I'm going to do the thing that I always forget to do this sometimes because I see something in the chat that obsesses me and I get to yapping on it. So here, I'm going to, I only do this when there isn't somebody here to talk. But I'm just gonna. Oh, Jacob didn't even vote. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna extend your lack of consideration for politics by muting you, which I don't do if I have a caller. But because I don't have a caller, you can keep talking to me. You just have to hit the request button and get up here and use your voice in front of the class like a big boy, and then everybody can hear your silly opinions and my thoughts on your silly opinions. That's what I do here. So. Yeah, you do still have a president if you don't vote, by the way, which is why it's silly not to vote. You should definitely vote. I think that's important. Democrats and Republicans are the same. No, that's a very silly thing to say. If you think that, I would urge you to click on the request button and get up here and try to tell me that Democrats are the same. I think if we look at something like the until Trump's hand was forced. Here's an example of how Democrats and Republicans aren't the same. Before Trump put on his Truth Social that everybody should vote to release the Epstein files act, which was after, by the way, he was completely forced by a veto-proof majority in the legislative branch to do exactly that. After he spent a week trying to convince the 3 Republicans that had flipped. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the fact that he had to try to get those 3 Republicans to vote against it that said they were going to vote for it, because every Democrat was going to vote to release the Epstein files. Every one of them was like, yep, let's get him out. And it took a seat change where we lost a Republican representative and gained a Democratic representative that tipped the vote over into a veto-proof majority. It was those 3 Republicans, Thomas Massie, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, that Trump worked very hard for about a week to try to convince to flip back. So like, why, if Democrats and liberals and Republicans are the same, why is it that the Democrats are trying to release the Epstein files and the Republicans are trying to not release the Epstein files, except for those 3 who've been punished for it? Thomas Massie's pretty hated right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene has retired from politics. Lauren Boebert had a bill that was unrelated to all of this thrown out by Trump. It's just terrible. They're the same, bro. Wake up. Okay, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to mute you and insist that if you want to defend that point any further, you have to hit the request button on your screen and come up here and talk about it. Why is this not working? Come on. Oh, there we go. Mouse wasn't clicking. There we go. Mute account just for the entire live. You're welcome to come back and say your nonsense. But because there's no caller, because there's nobody here talking to me, if I see a silly opinion in the chat, that person's getting muted, and I'm going to demand that they come up and talk to me about that silly opinion. My argument doesn't hold water. Yes, it does. Do I like the war? No, don't like the war. Retired? You mean fired? Was she fired? I don't really know. I know that she's out of politics now. I didn't actually follow it super duper closely. But would you be happy if we won the war? I mean, I would celebrate the war ending, but whether, like, I'm not really excited about either side here. Christian says, just had a MAGA tell me Tucker Carlson is a lib. Christian, answer in the chat, because I see that you're in the request queue. Answer if you're friendly or not. Just answer directly if you support Trump, because towards the end of the live, I talk to friendlies when I don't really care about supporting the live and getting the viewership up, but it is bad for viewership to echo chamber the live by just chatting about how much we hate all this stuff. So for the first like hour and a half of the live, I'm probably going to be live for about 2 hours. Hello, Gossamerin. Good to see you in the chat. People just keep repeating talking points. Yes, we are going to continue to, if you felt that the president was a war criminal, a sexual offender, and somebody who's destroying democracy, we should continue repeating those talking points until that's no longer the case. It's an emergency. It's a big problem. The house is on fire. If your house was on fire, you'd be like, my house is on fire, and you wouldn't stop saying it until the fire was out. So yeah, I am going to keep repeating the same talking points. And also, there's something like unique where every call is this like beautiful little snowflake of like, what exactly is wrong with this person's brain, and how can I do the best that I can to convince them that there's something wrong with the way that they think. And every one of these calls is in some ways the same because of the talking points, but also unique. And that's the beauty of being able to produce this type of content, is that for every person who's so misguided as these Trump supporters are, there might be a call that I might make that would convince them, that would be effective with them. Thank you for the heart me, whoever sent that. Who sent the heart me? Catch 22. Hello. Democrats had controlled the House and the Senate and presidency, didn't release the files. So yeah, the investigation was ongoing and under court seal during the Biden administration. That's a talking point that I have to bring up 150 times a day. But again, it just isn't a good answer to why now with the freshly passed Epstein Files Transparency Act, Trump is still refusing to release the Epstein files. That's something Biden didn't do because that law was passed in November of last year, not during the Biden administration. Can we talk about what is happening right now? Oh my goodness. Like, even if you're right, even if it's like, oh, that means that Biden is guilty too. It's like, great. That doesn't mean that Trump is innocent. It means that Biden is also guilty. So like, can we talk about the fact that the current president is guilty? That's the important thing. My goodness. The one thing some Dems definitely need to be accountable for is accepting money from Israel. I agree, absolutely. That's one of those, like, if the president wasn't a rapist, we could go back to the normal like politicking of America and say like, ooh, wow, okay, hold on. Do I need to mute somebody? Has anyone seen Hillary Clinton's nickname in the Epstein files yet? OMG, Clinton's had Epstein at the White House 16 times. Again, like if the Clintons are guilty, lock them up. Like, again, it's just not a defense to Trump. And the reason we're talking about Trump is because he's currently the president, and that's a way bigger problem for the United States. The CNN argument. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm just going to mute you, America, first. I think I've talked to you before, and maybe I'll talk to you after I talk to Leon. So yeah, if I mute you in the chat, it's because I want to talk to you with my voice. So you're going to have to hit the request button and get in the queue. But we've got Leon, who I hope is a Trump supporter, who I hope is going to not violate the TikTok terms of service and is going to start the call by reporting to me how old he is. How old are you, Leon?
I'm 22. I just want to drop down quick because I'm not a Trump supporter.
Really quick. It's bad for the viewership. Say your piece. Go.
Yeah, I just want to say, Trump viewers, I really dislike the dishonesty of bringing up other candidates when it comes to talking about Trump, because as somebody who doesn't like the system as a whole, I don't give a fuck about the left or the right. I'm just worried about which candidate is in control currently and what we should do with that candidate. And Trump, obviously, it goes against the Constitution, and I don't like that. And If I bring that to you as an issue, don't bring up Kamala because I'm not a fucking Democrat.
I appreciate
So
that. Yeah.
I'm just an individual. I'm an individual. I'm just asking about our current president. That's it. I'm not asking about the entire party. I'm not even asking about conservatives or Republicans. I'm literally just talking about our president as an individual.
I agree completely. Thanks for hopping up. I'm going to let you go.
But
All right, so that was Leon echoing pretty much exactly what I was just saying, which is that, like, even if you're right about Biden, even if you're right about Obama, even if you're right about Clinton, even if you're right about Kamala, it doesn't matter. Like, the question, is Trump bad? The answer to that question isn't, well, Biden is bad. You can be right about that. If Biden was bad, like, I'm just for this hypothetical, let's just say for the sake of argument that, like, Biden, you know, like, I'm not even going to, like, make up the hypotheticals because TikTok will flag me for misinformation if I say a bunch of obviously false things about Biden. But let's say there was, like, a bunch of really obviously terrible stuff about Biden. That just doesn't have anything to do with the question, is Trump bad? Is Trump a criminal? Is Trump a threat to democracy? Like, you know, I can say, like, you know, hey, this guy, like, if somebody killed somebody, I can be like, that guy's a murderer. We should catch them. And I said, yeah, but this other guy's a murderer. Right. Okay, we should catch them both. What does that have to do with the guy who I'm looking at right over there? Murderer. Let's catch him. My goodness. All right, we got Amos Moose. Amos Moose. Oh, I've talked to you before. I don't even remember which difficult guest you are, but you are a difficult guest. So we're going to see if I can avoid using the mute button, because I actually really try to avoid using the mute button. It's one of my debate tactics that I personally try to use on my own streams, which is that I'm pretty good at yapping over people. I'm pretty good at speaking fast enough to get a word in edgewise. So we're going to see if I can do that with Amos Moose, whose age I'm not going to ask because he's called in before and I've confirmed it in the past. And I know he's not a friendly. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm just going to insist that Amos Moose obey the TikTok live and participate in the conversation in a way that's listenable to the 81 people listening. Amos Moose, what are we talking about today? Are you there? Still connecting. Do. I should get like a little soundboard. Like I should have a little still connecting song. What's going on in the chat? Not sure you're talking fast enough. Yeah, I know. I got to speed it up. Amos Moose, how we doing? What are we talking about? Oh, he muted himself. I didn't mute him. Wasn't me. He had some background noise. Maybe he needs to figure out his Bluetooth device. Dems makeup.
I did figure out. Hello. I figured out my background noise.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What are we talking about today?
Just getting out of bed, feeling blessed that we have another day, brother, another day. And we just need to just kind of, you know, get earthy, get down and touch grass.
Mm-hmm. I love
out of the bed.
Love getting outside.
Yeah.
Love that stuff. I'm really excited for Saturday. Saturday's Fuck Ice Day. I'm going to head down to the Whipple building and see a bunch of my protest buddies.
Yeah, but that's you can't be doing that, man.
I'm so going to do that. Oh, wait, you said I can't be doing that? I'm not allowed to exercise my First Amendment right to declare that I'm upset about what's happening? Why can't I do that? How un-American a thing for you to say. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. You're totally able to exercise your First Amendment.
Are you driving?
No, but not without consequences.
No, I don't believe you. I'm sorry, Amos Moose. I really can't deal with the driving noise. It's a TikTok TOS thing.
I mean,
you've been on before. Call back another time, but I'm just going to boot you if I hear the driving noise, because you've demonstrated yourself to be a liar in the past, and I just don't trust you.
Oh, really? Tell me what I've lied.
There we go. Anyway, and Amos Moose can come back on any other time. He's good content, but the driving noise, it's very dangerous for my account. I got to be careful about that. Yeah, typical liberal, obeying the TikTok terms of service so that my stream with 100 people watching doesn't get taken down and I can better broadcast my thoughts, feelings, and opinions and facts that I know about the U.S. government history and the current politics that we live in. Yeah, I'm really care about that. So no, you can't take my live stream down by violating the rules on it. That's gonna be bad. No, because he was owning me. We hadn't even gotten into talking. Really, like he said that I can't be doing that about protesting, which I said was an un-American thing to say. He walked it back and said that I could be doing it. Then I noticed that he was driving and kicked him. I don't know where the W for the guest is there. I think it was going pretty well before I noticed that he was driving. But denial is such an interesting thing. I didn't get exposed to it so much before I started doing this, but seeing people like watch that very, very short conversation and think that I lost it is fascinating. It's like seeing a magic trick. I don't know how your brain works. I'm beginning to understand. I do this. Every little call I have is a little piece of experience. We've got somebody else waiting in the queue. We've got living an intentional life in the queue. Same things. I'm gonna demand that they are a Trump supporter. I'm gonna demand that they do not violate the TikTok terms of service. And I am going to. By the way, Gossamer Marin, just because I know you are such a dependable viewer, I'm actually going to. Hang on just a second, caller. I'm gonna click on Gossamer Marin. How do I do it? Add moderator. Gossamer Marin, you now have moderation privileges. for my stream. So if you could just keep an eye on terms of service in the chat, I'd appreciate that. Don't mute or silence people just for disagreeing with me. Disagreement's fine. Just watch the TOS. I think you know the things to look for. You don't have to do anything. He says, "Oh God, yeah, no. If you don't want the responsibility, it's fine. But your account now does have moderation privileges over my streams. Anyway, living an intentional life. I'm gonna hit the accept button. I'm gonna remind you to keep an eye on the TikTok terms of service. I'm gonna ask if you're a Trump supporter and if you and how old you are.
Sure. So I'm a Trump supporter. I'm going to be 38, and so I'd love to have a civil discourse with you about it.
I appreciate that. Where you got a topic? You got a direction you want to take with this?
Yeah. So I wanted to address your point up here. Meg is on the wrong side of history. Mm-hmm. So I would just counter that and just say, again, I understand there's a lot of contentions with what Trump has been doing, but there are some benefits to what he's been doing as well. A lot of, let's say, of the kind of the debate about the war that's been going on with Iran has been, he kind of broke kind of some rules of Congress and starting another war. But a lot of other presidents were talking about doing something similar if lines were crossed, and they never kind of acted on that. So he's like one of the only people that actually said that he wasn't going to start a war, but kind of the information had changed during his presidency, so he had to do something to kind of stop them from, possibly getting a nuclear weapon. So that's kind of where I'd like to start.
I'm just going to be honest and say that, like, what's happened in the last 45 seconds to me is that you've come in and made a pretty good argument for Trump's removal as a president. Because I'll make one small correction, because you did recognize a problem, but I think you maybe misspoke. Because he didn't disobey a rule of Congress. He disobeyed the Constitution. The Constitution decides what the rules for Congress are, and he disobeyed that by overstepping his reach as president. So you can talk about like why you maybe dislike Iran and want them to lose the war or whatever, but like, can we focus in on that just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So it's I'm a veteran myself, so I have
thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I understand there's kind of contentions with how we went about it, but we're calling it a war, and I would say it's a war on my behalf because I'm a veteran, and again, going into a situation like that is definitely a war. But they label it a conflict, so they don't need Congress's approval to do it because it's not a full out like a declaration of war.
Yeah, I see that. You're agreeing with me, right? That's like a dishonest way to get around the rules.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. You said you were pro-Trump?
I'm pro-Trump, but I'm still logical, right? So like I still understand kind of how the rules are supposed to go as well. So
how okay, so here's okay. I don't want to trash on you too hard. As much as I'm entertained by the fact that you're coming up and making good arguments for why Trump shouldn't be the president.
So how do you say your name again?
My name?
Yeah.
Oscar. It's the normal pronunciation.
Oh, Oscar. Okay. I'm just used to it with a C. That's why I didn't know if it was like a different pronunciation.
Yeah, European spelling. I'm named after Oskar Schindler, but I'm like an American. I grew up here, born here.
Yeah. Awesome. So I can see why there's contentions with this again because I'm not.
I actually want to jump in and like tell you what my issue specifically with it is that when we have a president that violates or gets around the rules in the way that you just described, I didn't even need to make the argument. You made the argument that he's getting around these rules. My issue is that you are just trusting that Trump is going to violate the rules in a way that you're generally okay with, instead of being forced to follow the rules, which protects America from the president becoming a tyrant or otherwise overstepping their reach as seat of the executive branch. So how can you trust that that's going to go well in the future when Trump's track record of actually saying and doing the things that he promises his constituents, of which you are one, to do is just so horrible, terrible, very, very. If Trump says something like an important policy thing, like I'm going to do this next week, like the odds are that it's not true, and he says like a dozen things that are bad and does 2 or 3 of them which are bad. So how is that state of affairs not wildly concerning to you?
But Obama did it as well with Libya, right?
Okay. I have a canned response that I just copy and paste in comment sections, and I'm just going to copy it and paste from my brain into yours right now every time somebody says but Obama, which is if you have to take the worst thing from Obama's presidency, which lasted 8 years.
I'm not saying it's the worst.
I'm going to finish my point, which because you've been talking more than me on this call, which is fine because you're not being difficult. But I'm going to say my copy paste thing, which is that if you have to take the worst thing from Obama's presidency and regurgitate it every day of the week when Trump does literally anything, Trump is the problem, and I'd like for us to stay on Trump. Obama retired 10 years ago.
I'm just giving a reference of because this is the worst thing Trump's done too. So I'm just giving a reference of the worst thing somebody else has done as well that you might agree with.
Okay, but it wasn't an answer to my question, which is that you admit that he breaks the rules. And when I say that he breaks the rules and is inconsistent in what he says to the public when he's standing behind the lectern, I don't know how that's not concerning to you about what he might do next. That was the question.
Oscar, every president does it. Every president does it.
Right, but not to a degree that Trump does. That's the concern. The concern is that he does it every day of the week. The concern isn't that he says bad things sometimes. It's that almost everything he says is bad. Almost everything he says can't be trusted. When he talks about major things, like, for example, liquidating a population of 90 million people, turning an entire country to glass, when he says that an entire civilization is going to die tonight, and the entire world has to wonder, oh my God, are 90 million people going to die tonight? People who are just trying to work their jobs, care for their families, and live their lives in Iran, not being able to go to bed because the deadline was at 4 a.m, so they were probably sitting in their living room with bags packed to evade if bombs started falling from the sky. Like, that's not okay. And I'm asking why you're okay with a president who behaves in that way, and you're bringing up Obama's airstrikes on Libya from like 15 years ago.
Okay, again, he has outlandish comments sometimes, and I understand that. But again, I think it's to bring people to the table to discuss things, because if he doesn't use harsh language, people are...
I'm not saying that he doesn't have reason to behave in that way in order to achieve the things that he personally wants to achieve. What I'm pointing out is that you don't know what he personally wants to achieve because he lies constantly and is inconsistent about what he says and does. Why is that not concerning to you? You're not answering like the root of the question here.
The root of the question is that, again, he's trying to hold other nations accountable for our own safety, right? So, like, again, I'm okay with whatever tactics he uses to do that, as long as he's not mass genociding a population, which he did not.
He threatened to mass genocide a population on Tuesday of this week. It is Thursday.
Yeah, okay, but again, it didn't happen, and they got brought to the table for a ceasefire. So his tactics did work.
The ceasefire was violated by 2 of the 3 parties involved within 24 hours of it being agreed upon.
At that time, it was to bring them to the table, which it did. It might have not worked, but it was trying to bring them to the table.
Okay, so your answer to why he did the thing he did is that he tried to do a thing that didn't work?
You only can attempt something to see if it's going to work. Nothing's guaranteed.
Right. So we're gonna judge the performance of the president in this case, and not only did he break a bunch of rules and do a bunch of terrible, immoral stuff, including threatening to genocide 90 million people, he also failed to do the thing he was trying to accomplish by doing that. So you're okay with a president who leverages genocide to accomplish his policy positions, fails at accomplishing those policy positions, but you're okay with it because you like what those policy positions are.
Not that I'm okay with him saying that stuff, because again, some of the stuff he says again is outlandish, like I conceded to.
I want to clarify something about you being okay with something that the president does. If you think that the president should not be impeached, then you are okay with what they're doing. That's what I mean. So you either like that's not. I want to clarify that, because that's not maybe what everybody technically thinks when we say those words. But I just want to clarify what we mean by that for the sake of this call. When I say that you're okay with when I hear you say that you're okay with Trump doing something, I'm saying okay, he shouldn't be impeached. That's what he's thinking. I think he should be impeached for so many things that we don't even have time to start listing them. So why are you okay with a president that behaves that way? I really don't understand the mental gymnastics you're using to make it okay for him to do all these terrible things, accomplish none of the things you want him to accomplish, but because he says on TV that he wants to do those things, you're okay with him being president and doing these things?
Oscar, I'm a little bit different than the average person. I'm a Marine. I grew up I grew up in the military and stuff like that. And it got exposed to a lot of people talking.
I could like bust out the resume and explain to you the reasons why I'm like way more qualified to you to talk to you about this stuff. But I don't leverage my academic experience as evidence of me being right, because I don't need academic experience to be right. The reason I'm right is because the things that I'm saying are right. So while I respect your service history, I really truly do. I have reverence for people who've served. It's a huge thing to do for the country, and I value that. It just doesn't bear on whether or not your argument is a good one.
No. I'm just saying I have had experience with people talking harsh language. I don't get offended by language. I take what they do, the action and what they do. They can speak and say whatever they want.
What he did was threaten to genocide a population of 90 million people.
It's what they do that matters, Oscar. That's what you have to learn. It's what they do that matters. He can say whatever he wants, but what he does matters. And he didn't do anything.
Unless they're committing stolen valor, there's a veteran in the chat who's telling you to listen to me. Just wanted to point it out.
That's fine.
Right. I'm just saying. Okay, so like you can say that you don't care what the president says. You care what they do. There's two directions I could take that argument. You fucking should care what the president says. Like you really, absolutely should. It is above many other things a PR position. They are the voice of America on the world stage and to everybody who lives here. So that should seriously matter to you. But even if I just like don't want to talk about that because it doesn't seem like you care, I could move on to the fact that you then say that you care about his actions, and then I could start listing the actions that he has done that should result in him being impeached, which to a degree I have already done during this call.
What action has he done that you should be led to impeachment for?
Okay, so for example, if I threaten to kill somebody, because I want something from them, that's a crime, right? I should be charged with that.
If you threaten to kill somebody, I think yes, that should be held accountable. But if you're in an active conflict with them,
he started the conflict, so I don't accept the fact that he was like, stuck in this conflict. No. He started a fight, and in the fight, he threatened to do something really, really terrible because the fight isn't going well for him. And I'm saying that that's an action. Announcing to the world that you are going to kill 90 million people if you don't get what you want is an action. It's done by speaking is an action, right? It's not just what he's saying to you and me. He's saying it to those 90 million people. He's saying it to the world. He's leveraging his position of power as the leader of the free world to announce that threat to the world. And I'm not going to accept your argument that the president threatening to kill people if he doesn't get what he wants isn't a presidential action.
Okay, but we have the same people out here saying that it's okay for Iran to chant "death to America" on a constant basis.
I don't know. I'm not really like sure who's saying that. It's not me. It's not happening in this conversation. So it's a deflection from the point that I'm making about your argument, which is that you're saying it's okay for the president to threaten to genocide 90 million people. I think that if the president threatens to commit a genocide to get what they want in a war effort, they should be impeached. What is your answer to that?
I'd say no unless the action follows the comment. I say no because it's not chargeable if you don't do it.
It is chargeable if you don't do it when it comes to threats. Threatening people is illegal unless it's being done in some kind of self-defense. I could, for example, threaten to like unalive you if I pointed my firearm at you and you were like attacking me. Like self-defense is allowed, but that wouldn't hold up if you hadn't done anything wrong. And Iran, while they are doing things wrong over there, I don't support the Iranian regime. I don't support Khamenei. I don't report any of that. But if we're going to say that something over there that has nothing to do with America is happening that's so bad, why aren't we attacking North Korea? Why aren't we attacking the People's Republic of China for genociding the Uyghurs? Why aren't we attacking Israel for genociding the Palestinians? Why aren't we invading Africa and solving all these civil conflicts that are happening in West and Central Africa that are really, really bad for humanity? There's an endless list of things we could get involved in, and I don't think it's surprising that the two places where Trump has decided to get involved, Venezuela and Iran, are two of the countries that have the most oil on the planet, Venezuela being number one.
Sure, and I understand that, but at the same time, you have, again, a country such as Iran that we're trying to prevent them getting a nuclear weapon, right? And again, they have a tendency to want to destroy Western civilization as a country. They don't agree with how it's going.
Trump's track record of actions on preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons is egregious. Obama created a diplomatic solution whereby we literally had United States. Yes, it was in fact working until Trump in his first term got rid of it. Here we are roughly 8 years later, and we can go, it doesn't seem like it was working because Trump threw it away almost a decade ago. Now, they've spent years and years now developing their nuclear weapons program since he threw away the agreement that Obama had with them.
But they were developing uranium under Obama's administration too.
Okay. Are you going to deny that the JCPOA was being followed?
So I'm gonna say that they were still developing uranium
Yes. A country is allowed to enrich uranium for the purposes of developing nuclear power infrastructure, but I will give you credit because you have a concern here, which is like, couldn't you just say you're using it for nuclear power and then use it for nuclear weapons? And the reason that the JCPOA addressed that is because we physically sent inspectors, nuclear experts to these facilities to see what is going on and what they are doing. And you need to enrich uranium to a much higher degree to make nuclear weapons than you do to make fuel for nuclear power. So inspectors can go to those facilities, see the work that they're doing, and report back to the American government if the JCPOA is being followed or not. That is what was happening when Trump threw the agreement away in 2018.
Oscar, they weren't allowing them to go everywhere, all over the sites. They were allowing them to certain places, not to every place. That's the problem.
Source. I need a source, dude.
No, it's not a source. It's fact. They were not allowed to go to every place.
It's not a source. It's fact. I'm asking for the source for your fact.
This has been reported.
By whom?
The governing body said they weren't allowed to go to all the places. They were allowed to certain locations within the Iranian.
All right. We're gonna play the Google game. We're gonna play the Google. All done. Sorry, I've been sitting here petting my dog on the side. She was demanding a little too much attention for me to Google. All right, we're at Google. I'm gonna ask you, what words do I type in to find evidence of your claim?
So say was the governing body of I forget what is the governing body of the nuclear governing body.
I'm sorry, but I really do just want to like demonstrate to my audience whether or not you're able to defend your own claim. So you said was the governing body of, what is the next word that I type?
Of nuclear programs had complete access to Iranians' nuclear development sites.
Sorry for the dead air. I have a hard time talking while I'm typing.
No, you're
anyway,
fine.
I'm apologizing to the audience, not to you. Anyway, okay. What do I click? I don't look at the AI overview because AI is so often hallucinates.
Just look at what AI says first.
Nope, I don't look at what AI says. AI hallucinates false information and is no kind of source. So which of these articles would you like me to click? What?
Look at Rutgers.
Do you mean Reuters, the top one?
Reuters, right? Yep.
Reuters, yeah. Reuters is, by the way, to the chat, generally a good source. Okay. UN nuclear. Go away. Wait. I already do allow ads. Okay, hold on. I might be paywalled on this one. Wait, continue without supporting us. Found the button. I was just too zoomed in. Okay, so first of all, here's like a problem that I have with this, which is that this is an article from June 23rd, 2025, and you're talking about the performance of the inspectors prior to 2018 when Trump threw the agreement away. And this is referring to the UN, which has nothing to do with the United States, especially with Trump in charge because he doesn't like the UN.
That's even a better case because they don't really even support what Trump's doing, and
but what I'm saying is that this article was published 8 years after you're saying the thing happened. You're saying that we didn't have good coverage of their facilities. I'm saying that this article is from a different time and organization. This has nothing to do with the claim. Did the JCPOA secure Iran's nuclear programs?
Oscar, rant all you want. Just pick a different thing with the earlier date.
Okay, so I asked you which one to pick. We looked at it. It wasn't a good source, so we can go back to the Google search. What do you want me to click next?
I can't see. The comments also block what's being said. I can't read dates and stuff like that as well.
Okay, that's fine. I can help you with that. I can put this up here. Yep. I can move me down here. How about that? Is that better for you?
So put in the search.
Changing the search. Okay.
Yeah, put pre 2016.
Oh yeah, is there a way to hold on? I can use Google search tools for that. I can go to Google search tools up here on the right. I can go from anytime custom range. All right, and I am going to
put 2016.
Oh, what format does it want it? Okay, there we go. Then I can type. So I'm just gonna put a random date in from 2012, the beginning of Obama's. I forget when the JCPOA went into effect, but I'm just gonna say from like 2012 to roughly 2019 even, so that because it could have been maybe a few months after Trump overthrew it the first time. So we'll see what the results are here. Okay, which one? Access to military sites debated as White House. Okay, so there's an NPR article. Do you want to look at that?
Check that out. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So this is from September 13th, 2017. Two deadlines are approaching that may signal the fate of the 2015 nuclear agreement known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan for Action, JCPOA, which is I'm talking about the agreement. Yep. All right, September 14th is the deadline. This article was posted December 13th, so the day before. So yes, this might cite a concern, but we might need to find something from right after this. Earlier this month, U.S. Ambassador from the United Nations, Nikki Haley, essentially made the case essentially made the case for decertifying Iran. She told an audience at the American Enterprise Institute in Washington that President Trump must consider not just issues covered by the deal, Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium or nuclear fuel, but Iran's aggressive policies in the region and its ongoing tests of ballistic missiles. So what this paragraph in the article that we found together says is that instead of looking at the Iran's stockpile of nuclear fuel, which is what we were talking about, we should consider other things, which we should in a diplomatic sense, of course, because Iran is an adversary. They're not our friend. The agreement is something that they did have good reason to violate. So we should look at those things. But this article isn't citing evidence of the JCPOA's inspection efforts failing, which is what you are claiming. Of course. Yeah.
If they're developing ballistic missiles when that's usually used for nuclear weapons, isn't that a slight concerning measure?
Sorry, say that one more time.
So because they're trying to develop ballistic missiles and that's used in the delivery of nuclear weapons, can't that be a slight concerning measure?
I literally just said that that's important and something we should pay attention to and concerning. But what I said right before that is that it has nothing to do with the specific claim that you made about the enrichment of uranium and our inspection of those facilities under the JCPOA. And again, like obviously they're going to try to get around it. Obviously they're going to continue to try to work in the ways that they can around the deal. But what I'm saying is that deal, which made it harder for them to do that, is better than bombing schools. It's better than killing people. It's better than pissing off 90 million people who for decades to come, every single one of us will need to worry because we've given those people good cause to make terroristic acts against the United States. I shouldn't say good cause because I don't think there's any good cause for that, but you know what I mean. We have motivated those 90 million people to do terrible, terrible things to you and me, and that should concern us, and that's not something that we were doing under the JCPOA. And again, you just weren't able to demonstrate your claim. This article itself says that, addresses the fuel thing and then moves on to something else. It's a deflection.
That article referenced Donald Trump as being president, so that definitely wasn't in the time frame we were talking about.
The time frame that we were talking about extended into Trump's presidency because the JCPOA was active for 2 years of Trump's presidency. He threw it out in 2018, so a year or two into his presidential term that began in 2017 in January because he was elected in 2016. So yes, it does fit in the date range.
We wanted to see a little bit before that though to see what it said.
Which part?
We wanted to see pre-Trump to see if any of the stipulations were still being made pre-Trump being president.
So we're gonna have to change. We're gonna have to change our search tools and go to a different date. So again, if that was what you wanted, I feel like I'm gonna accuse you of moving the goalposts here because we agreed on this date range.
I said 2016 originally, and you went to 2019.
Okay, fine. I'm going to put in January of 2017, which is the month around here. I'll actually put in roughly Trump's inauguration date. Okay, let's see. Member states, early 1990s, possible. Okay, so here, the first result from before then is actually from 2012, which is before the JCPOA was established. That was 2015. This one's from before it. Here we go. Here we go. Here's one from 2015. This is actually within the time frame that the JCPOA was enacted. Iran nuclear deal, debunking the myths. Do you want to look at this? This is from the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation, which is a non-government organization that tracks this sort of thing so that people like you and me don't have to believe politicians.
See what else is there? National remarks.
Oh, we're just gonna ignore the non-government organization that exists exactly for the purpose that you and me, as people trying to figure out what is actually happening in the world. That's what this is a good source. Why are you ignoring this one?
I've never heard of them before, so I'm looking for other things as well.
Okay, do you want to research whether the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation is a good search? We can do that as a side quest because research is hard and sometimes has multiple steps. But I think that just saying, nope, I don't want to look at this resource that proves I'm wrong, I want to keep scrolling until I find something that proves I'm right, is a terrible way to research.
No, it's not. I'm looking at all the...
Yes, it is. It's a decide. No, you're ignoring this one. I'm saying this is a good one. I happen to be familiar with this source. I trust this source. Do we want to research the source to see if you trust the source?
No, because I want to see what else is there as well.
Why don't you want to know if this is a good source?
No, you can see if it's a good source, but I also want to see what else is out there as well, just to look at what's there.
No. We're gonna do these one at a time. We're gonna trust a little bit that Google's giving us the most relevant stuff first. Here is a response to what your Google search was, but it's too early, not relevant. This is a response to your search, not too early because it's not relevant. Both of these were from before the JCPOA was enacted. Here is one from an organization, a watchdog group that cares about this sort of thing and wants you to be educated on it. And this is from What?
When was the policy enacted?
What date? Okay, let's Google really quick. I bet there's a Wikipedia article on the JCPOA. Let me make sure I'm right because it was 2015. Let's see. Iran nuclear deal, Wikipedia, July 14th, 2015. And then this was posted. Look at that. 3 weeks later. Or wait, no, wait, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. 6 weeks later. I looked at the wrong
ready?
date.
So you think they're going to have enough information within 6 weeks to declare if they're actually following it? There's no way.
But what I'm saying is that you made a positive claim, and we're trying to find evidence for that positive claim, and this is the closest thing we've found, and there just aren't results that suggest what you're saying is true.
No, that's not true. You think they're going to have all the information within 6 or 3 weeks of coming out with the JPOA? Like, that's not true.
Okay,
like, you need
that's a valid. You're right. I'll give you the point on that one. That's a valid concern. I would much prefer to find such an article from like 2018 or so, right before it was overthrown, or like right at the end of Obama's term. But I'm just not finding one because what you're saying is horseshit.
We looked for 5 minutes on this and looking at other sources. What are you talking about? Look at other sources.
I'm like literally Googling the words you tell me to Google, and I'm just not finding this.
We've clicked on 2 sources so far.
Okay, wait. Round 3 of adjusting the search date to make it so that it fits. Okay, so we got the latter range really, really careful. Trump's inauguration day, roughly. I don't remember which day of the month it was. What is a good start date to your satisfaction?
The 2012 is fine. I'm saying go within.
No, it isn't, because we found a result from 2015 and you want to throw it away. So how, like, you said that was too. No,
I said it was 3.
Don't interrupt me. I want to address what exactly you just said. No. Don't interrupt me. I need to explain this to you so that people can really see how you're refusing to research this properly. The range is 27 to 2012. We found a result from 2015 and you said that's too early. I said, you know what? 3 weeks after the deal went into effect, that is too early. So 2015 is too early. What year is 2016, 2017? Like, when should we look? The JCPOA was only in effect for 3 years. When do you want?
Do 2016.
Okay. What date? Like beginning of the year, January?
That's fine, yeah.
All right. So here, first day of 2016 to Trump's inauguration. This is the last year of Obama's administration, and it's the middle year that the JCPOA was in effect for, and we're going to try to find results from that time. Okay.
Look at the first one.
Okay, Brookings. An unsatisfying outcome on Iran's past nuclear activities. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm actually just going to read the little like default summary thing that Google put in here. It says Robert Einhorn argues that the lack of a definitive verdict from the IAEA on Iran's past nuclear activities should not derail the JCPOA. Do we need to go and read the article where that claim is defended, or is it good enough for you to see that this is not a source that's going to argue in your favor?
Again, okay, ready? Do you understand research and how it works or no?
Yeah, I do.
So again, I'm going on my second master's degree, right? And again,
Okay.
as you look into this, right, you have to see that there's going to be sides and political factions that are creating this information for you. So you have to tease out what's going on. So of course you're going to find stuff that supports you and supports me.
I'm not finding stuff that supports you, though. I haven't looked at this second result, but on 3 layers of trying to refine the search to find something that supports your argument, we've arrived at the Heritage Foundation, which is responsible for Project 2025.
The Heritage Institute is a democratic institution.
Are you going to wait? We can change the whole topic. Are you about to argue to me that the Heritage Foundation is a good source?
No, I'm saying the Heritage Foundation is a democratic institution. Is it not?
No, answer the question. Is the Heritage Foundation a good source?
I'm not sure, but I know it's a democratic institution.
You're on your second master's degree. You've called into a political debate live, told me I don't know how to research, referenced your second master's as the reason why you're good at this, and you don't know if the Heritage Foundation. You say you don't know if the Heritage Foundation is a good source. For everything that you've said about yourself on this call, you should know whether the Heritage Foundation is a good source.
Why would I know if it's a good source or not?
Because it's one of the most important non-government organizations to American politics right now, because they are the authors of Project 2025, which is the plan that not just Trump, but the entire corrupt Republican leadership that I argue is overthrowing democracy in this country use to achieve their policy positions, which are laid out in Project 2025. If you don't understand that, I don't care about your master's degrees, you're not paying attention, and you are not good at researching this stuff.
Again, you might have more knowledge about what's going on with this stuff, right?
Stop referencing your master's degrees, because I don't have a master's degree.
I'm referencing research. I'm not referencing the knowledge I have on this specific thing. I'm saying I'm looking at what you're presenting to me for research that we've asked a question about, and I'm going through the sources. Am I not? And you keep on battering me about what sources are good or not. I'm just going on what's presented in the Google search.
Okay, again, we've given it a lot of time. I feel like I gave you a fair shot to find your source. I'm just going to say that I'm not going to pull up the Google thing again. If you want to go find a good source and bring it to me, you can call back in and I'd happily take the call. But I know people are going to get bored of me not finding your Google result, because I'm really, really trying to throw you the bone of letting you find it, and you're just not.
How can you not concede that, again, building ballistic missiles is a precursor to having nuclear arms in some way, shape, or form?
I did not deny that claim. I conceded it immediately. I agree with you on that. It has nothing to do with the claim that you were making that we were researching.
But that's enough to go in and to rectify that.
I would not say that it is. I would not say that a country developing a ballistic missile program while agreeing to an agreement that prevents them from enriching uranium for nuclear weapons is a good reason to invade and go to war with that country. I think it's bad. I don't think they should do that, but I don't think it's good reason to start a war.
So you don't think that them funding proxy armies and all this stuff all over the middle?
Let me clarify the point I just made, because I think it's like we're actually getting to our point of disagreement here. Why might Iran continue to build nuclear or continue to build a ballistic missile program while having to agree with the JCPOA? Iranian leadership might have thought something like this: you know what? We can't build any nukes right now because of the JCPOA, but Trump might be president next, and if Trump is president, he's going to throw away the JCPOA because he says it was a bad deal. And if they do that, wouldn't it be handy if we already had the missiles that we need to put the nukes in? So yeah, the way that Iran is behaving here is sensible, but throwing the agreement away still just makes it easier for them to do what they want to do, and you're just not answering why you're okay with that.
Again, if their intentions to begin with are to get a nuclear weapon, regardless of the JCPOA being instated, they're going to do it anyways.
But they weren't, and you're not. And we just spent 10 minutes trying to find evidence that they were, and we couldn't find any.
So again, this is not going to be reported, right? But again, if they're looking to develop the precursors to having a nuclear weapon, and then all they wanted to do is have Trump throw out their agreement and then start it, that was their intention anyways to begin with.
You're not answering. You're deflecting away from the whole thing here, which is that you made this grand claim that they were doing the development of nuclear fuels anyway. We found no evidence of that fact whatsoever. I have offered you, like, honestly, I'm just going to say I have given you a way better chance of finding that source than most debate live hosts would. I've even said that you can go find it on your own time and bring it to me, and we can have another call about it, and I'll have you back up, and we can continue the discussion after you find the source, so that we bore the shit out of my live stream.
Do you not agree, though, that, again, their involvement in all, like, again, because we were talking about the war in Iran, Iran, right? So their involvement in all of their military activities in that region, right, and the killing of thousands of U.S. troops over the course of time, do you not think justifies us attacking them to try to wipe out their nuclear arsenal or the potential to make one?
I already answered that, which is that no, I don't actually think that that's a good reason for us to do that, because you can come up with dozens of countries the world over that you have that sort of claim for, like, oh, they're doing something so bad, so potentially dangerous for us, we should go to war with them, and then we'd start a war. Do you think we should go to war with every country you can say that about? Yes or no?
What country? What other country killed tens of thousands of American troops like they had?
North Korea.
No. Yes, but we went to war with them.
You said no, and then you remembered that it's in fact yes. They still have nukes. They're still terrible. There's still famine there. There's still horrible civil rights abuses there. All the things you say about Iran, we can say about North Korea. But no, we shouldn't go start a war about it.
It depends on the presidency, right? It was already established before Trump got in.
You're moving the goalposts faster than the soccer players can run, and you think that that's making you the winner.
Again, how can you go in and stop a nuclear weapon from happening if it already exists because it wasn't prevented from in the first place?
The chat is, by the way, listing other examples of such countries. But again, like you're just dodging every point, and I like you. Are you going to admit defeat on this thing that we started on about Iran developing nuclear weapons, even in spite of the JCPOA? Because you are perfectly welcome to not concede that. Go do your research. Bring that research to me, and we can discuss it later at another time, another day. Later.
I'm going to follow you right now. When I find that information, I'll bring it back to you so you have some solid evidence.
Please do, and totally forgive me when you get back up and I don't remember who you were, because I just remind me. I'm sure I'll remember this conversation. This has been a great one, and I appreciate you not talking over me. I haven't used the mute button. You've been, you've been effective at participating in the live, and I like to mention that I appreciate that, even when I really disagree with the caller.
Of course, no worries. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
You have a wonderful day. All right, I'm just going to say to the people watching on YouTube after the fact, because I keep forgetting to put a post roll on these things, but if you made it to the end of that conversation and you want to have like material ways to support me doing this more, there are ways to do that don't cost anything at all. You can hit subscribe. You can go follow me on TikTok or on Instagram. That I have some goals for that. There's features that get unlocked to me. You can make me money by doing that because there's monetization features that get unlocked if I reach those goals, but it doesn't cost you anything. So if you just want to go hit the link tree in the bio and go do those things, like literally just click the button, button. You never have to see any of my content ever again. It still helps me out. If you want to help me out directly, there are some ways to help me out directly in the link tree in the bio. You can do that if that's how you feel like spending your money. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I don't have another caller in the queue, so how are we doing, TikTok chat? Did I do a good job? Am I being a good host? If this is a job, am I good at my job? I already went to my job this morning. To the people who say that I'm unemployed, I'm a musician. I have a gig tonight. Got to go do that later. Hopefully going to get a nap in the afternoon because all this stuff is so much work. Oh my goodness. Patience of a saint. That's the comment I see so much under my content, and I will say I've spent so much time working in childcare and education that it's given me the patience of a saint. Elvis gives me a big thumbs up. Thank you, Elvis Trump. Good to see you again. New username, Machete says, you are doing well. Thank you very much. Saving the world one MAGA at a time. I would actually argue that I'm saving the world more than one MAGA at a time, because that guy might be a little concerned that he's wrong about the Iran deal now. But the rest of you watching and all the people who might watch on YouTube, and lately the tens and hundreds of thousands of people who are watching my clips on Instagram, the reason I have to be entertaining and talk really fast, and there's particular things I have to do, like not spend 45 minutes researching that because it's a little boring to watch us not find something on Google, is because I need to be entertaining for this to be effective. It needs to work. And I need to be entertaining without assaulting my own intellectual integrity and my journalistic integrity to report things that are true and accurate. So, yeah, it's complicated what I'm trying to do up here. Childcare experience, that explains it. By the way, let's get some W's in the chat for Gossamer. And you were like, oh no, don't make me a moderator. And then you immediately were giving people warnings on going all caps and stuff. You were absolutely crushing it. So I totally appreciate that. Somebody says, am I doing a good job? Are you MAGA? No, then yes, you're doing a good job. Yeah, the bar has fallen that low. If you don't support the rapist who is a president, then yeah, you're doing okay. I wish we lived in a better political climate than that. Iran never started a war, never invaded a country, and never offed children. But Israel can't say the same. Iran has probably killed some children. I agree with the sentiment of your message, but they have done some pretty bad things, and I don't want to defend that. Josh says, "Fucking yeesh, dude." I assume you're talking about the caller. Life deserves more respect from all leaders. Yeah, absolutely. Gossamer has to leave in 15 minutes. That's totally fine. You've carried the responsibility of being a moderator in here absolutely wonderfully. Hoy says, "I'm proud of you." Thank you. I appreciate that. Where else? Tap. Yeah, get to double tapping on the screen. The horribly misguided Trump supporter is gone, so we're losing the viewership. So if everybody could get double tapping away on the screen, how many likes do we have? 14,000? I bet if we got up to 20K in a hurry, we'd get another caller in here, and we'd get the show back on the road. Lisa G. Marie says, you are doing great. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Goss, you can't leave. You live here now. Yeah. The free labor that I just got from Gossamer, suddenly I'm entitled to it. Thank you so much, Gossamer. I really do appreciate you. You divide. I know you're here to watch the live, so if you're moderating, then you have to divide your attention up a little bit, and I really, really do appreciate you doing that for me. Because that's why I can't do it. Because it is very hard to cook the guests that hard if I'm like paying attention to the chat, and I got to pay attention to the chat if I don't have a moderator here, because I will get banned from going live on TikTok if I don't moderate my chat. So it's so crazy. When people like make fun of me for being thankful on here, it's like I'm literally thankful that there are strangers on the internet who are willing to do what I consider to be skilled labor for me for free in order to ensure the success of my lives, and that's just incredible. I feel like, I hate to use the word blessed because I'm not religious, but like that's the way it feels. I'm just like, oh my god, like all these people are just like helping me out. How incredible. Goss Marin says chat was pretty good on behavior. People respected the warnings. Yeah. I think for the most part it does just take that. We didn't have any like big like all caps block swastika posters or anything crazy like that. All right. Man, chat was pretty good on behavior. Okay, I gotta urge you guys. We're up to 16,000 likes, and that's great. Some of you guys are double tapping away. But if we want to get another caller in here, we got to get more double taps on the screen so that the algorithm pushes this out to more people. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to run an echo chamber here. That's my defense. When there's this big drama right now about what people like me and Dean Withers are doing is like good at all, or if we're just like shills that are just like producing entertainment and it's not politically or activistically beneficial. And my counter argument, the shortest counter argument that I could give, because I could talk for 6 hours about why I think it's good what I'm doing, is just that we seem to be the only activists that aren't forcing ourselves into some kind of echo chamber in terms of the public discourse, because you're not exactly in an echo chamber if you're standing at the Whipple building yelling at ICE agents, which I will be doing live on Saturday, so follow for that. Saturday's fuck ice day. But like in terms of like you're saying, oh, you don't platform these people, don't talk to them, and it's like, all right, I should lock myself in a room with a bunch of other liberals and like we should just sniff each other's farts and like sit around and talk about how high and mighty we are for not associating with Trump supporters. Like, what is the benefit of that? Every single conversation I have on here is an opportunity for us to learn how a Trump supporter's brain works and see exactly how badly it's functioning. That guy hopefully will come back, and I'm just gonna, if I were a gambling man, I'd say he's not going to come back. I think he's going to work his butt off trying to find that source. He's simply not going to find it, and that's going to be bad. It's 53 minutes since I started streaming. Oh, wait, he's back. He's back. I was about to say I got 7 minutes before I give up on the stream for the day. All right, get double tapping on the screen. Get our viewership back, because I think people left after that this guy left. But here we go. We're going to see if he can tell me how to find this source.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Will you accept armscontrol.org as a source?
I'm not familiar. Do you mind? I mean, can I like look up what is that?
Of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, wait. Here, we'll do it. Well, again,
Armed
for the sake of transparency, I will just do it in real time. I'm just gonna open a new tab. And what did you say it was?
So I can. Do you want me to put? Can I put the link in the type thing or no? In the window for you down below, or for the actual link to the source?
No, I don't think so. You can try. I don't think it works, but we can find the article together. But really quick, what is this source? I just want to check on what the source is.
Arms Control Association.
Okay, so I'm just gonna Google Arms Control Association. The authoritative source on arms control. It is a .org. This looks like probably a non-government. Yep, nonpartisan membership organization. Tax exempt under a 503c status. That's an indication that they're probably somewhat reputable. Staff and funding. Who's funding them? I'm not going to read all this super duper carefully. Yeah, this seems like a decent source. Publication Arms Control Today, Public Understanding for Effective Arms Control Policies, started in 1971. Okay, yeah, without looking, I mean, if they're up to no good, chat, let me know, but that seems okay. What Arms Control Association, what do I add to the search to find the article?
So let's see what I put in. I said JCPOA violations.
JCPOA violations. Is this the first article the correct one?
So you don't have to put arms control. I just put in JCPOA violations, and it came up. It was the first one in there.
Well, so here, I'll because the article is hosted on armscontrol.com or .org, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
so I will remove Arms Control Association from the search, but I'm going to add armscontrol.org to limit the search results to ones that are on that page. Is the fact sheet what we're looking for?
So we're looking for Iran newly breaches nuclear deal.
Breaches in the title?
Yeah, so it's Iran newly breaches nuclear deal. You could probably just search that title and pull it up.
Iran breaches nuclear deal. All right. Iran newly breaches nuclear deal. Here we go. Let's see what we got here.
So if you look down, let's see, it's like right below where it says International Atomic Energy. IAEA confirms its November 11th report that Iran began.
Give me a Control F so I can jump into it, because I have to be super zoomed in on the article for people watching at home to be able to read it.
Control F. This is the fourth step.
Okay. Let's see. Over the past 6 months in May. In breach of its over the past 6 months. Okay, but this is after Trump threw away the JCPOA. This is from 2019.
So hear me out. Let me make my argument.
They broke the deal after Trump pulled out of it? Of course they fucking did, you idiot. Sorry, but like, what?
Be respectful. Again, if they were going to do it...
I'm not always respectful, and I think that this is a situation where, given that you had time to go do your homework, you're saying that they breached the deal after Trump pulled out of it.
Again, if you had no intentions of doing it in the first place, why did you do it afterwards?
The homework assignment, sorry, dude, I have experience as a teacher, so I'm just going to say that the homework assignment was to find evidence that the JCPOA was being violated by Iran before Trump pulled out of it, and you found evidence that they violated it after he pulled out of it, which I would argue is miswording, because you don't violate an agreement you're no longer a part of.
What you pulled out in 2018, they already had enriched uranium within less than a year of having that done. They already had it.
No, dude, this is mental gymnastics. You're a year later, yeah, evidence of them enriching nuclear uranium 1 year after the agreement that said that they shouldn't be doing that is over makes fucking sense.
How does that make sense? If they already had the technology to do it in the first place, it takes more than a year to get that developed.
Okay, look, I said during our first call that it would make sense for them to be doing background stuff that doesn't violate the JCPOA in order to like try to get around it. Like, for example, developing ballistic missiles that
If you were being nefarious.
Again, yes, Iran is a bad actor. They are nefarious. They are our enemy. I recognize that. But what I'm saying is that they were obeying the JCPOA. And yes, of course, they're going to be doing all the stuff up to the line that they can do under the JCPOA so that when it gets lifted, suddenly it's easy for them to quickly develop nuclear weapons. Of course, that makes obvious sense. That's what I said in the first call. And that's what this source that you brought me backs up. This source is evidence for my claim, not yours.
But again, if they had such good intentions of not doing anything nefarious, why was it developed in less than a year after?
No, I'm not claiming that Iran did not had good intentions or that they weren't up to no good. They are obviously up to no good.
Why are you denying the war then? If they were taking illicit actions,
all right. For the same reason that I said in the first call, which is that just because a country's a bad actor, just because a country's up to no good, just because a country wants to make nukes, that's not a good enough reason to go to war with them. So you're just again like you like
but
like
they
we
also killed
No. I really need you to address the fact that like you failed the activity, buddy. Like
I proved my point. They had nefarious.
How?
They have nefarious activities leading up to that point.
I concede that. Yes, they did. They're a bad actor. They're an evil country. Their leadership, not their people.
Okay, but they so Oscar. They also killed tens of thousands of
has nothing to do with the claim.
Yes,
Very
it
bad.
does.
No, it doesn't. So did many countries. So did Germany. So did Japan. So did North Korea.
We went to war with them. All these countries we went to war with. So why would we not go to war with them? So your point's mute.
No, it isn't. The word is moot, by the way, not mute. But again, like you're just deflecting from the fact that the argument proves me right, not you. I literally said in the first call that I would expect Iran, which is a bad actor, nefarious, as you say. Nefarious is a good word. They are up to no good, those Iranians. The leadership, not the people, right? Like that. Yeah, I agree with you on that. So it makes sense for them to do everything they can to get closer to nuclear weapons outside of the JCPOA. We would want the JCPOA to stop them from doing all of those things, but because it's a diplomatic solution, it is an agreement that they had to agree to do. And if we said, you know what, give up every gun in your country, give up every piece of technology, give up every building that you could potentially be doing any nuclear, like the only way to be completely certain that Iran isn't doing anything to get them closer to nuclear weapons is to take over the country, which nobody is suggesting would be a reasonable diplomatic solution and something that Iran would never agree to without a full-out war. And I'm just saying that that's not a good solution. So you're making claims, you're making these arguments about this or that would make it more likely for me to be wrong that that's not a good solution and we should go to war with them. You're making very specific claims, like that there was evidence during the time that the JCPOA was in effect that showed that they were defying it, and there just isn't evidence of that. I gave you all the time in the world. You didn't need to come back in 20 minutes. You could have come back next week and told me about this, and I would have remembered the conversation and picked it up where we left off. I'm not done cooking you. Give me just a second. I gave you the opportunity to go spend all the time in the world finding evidence that you were right about the thing you've been sitting here telling me, and you found a source that when we read it out loud together proves that I'm right. You don't know how to research, and I'm sorry to say this, but I hope you don't succeed in that second master's degree. You shouldn't get a master's degree. You shouldn't have a first one.
Oscar, hold on 1 second. Ready? You can try to cook me all you want, but I bet you won't post this clip. Again,
I'm posting the whole thing already, all the way to the end. This is going on YouTube. You can find it. I've decided that it's going to happen. Whatever you're about to say, it's going to live in perpetuity. Say it.
The fact is that right after the agreement was put in, was nulled. The agreement was no longer in effect anymore. They developed what you said they weren't going to do. But that's a problem.
But they would have. They wouldn't have done it if Trump hadn't. The reason this happened. The reason this happened isn't the JCPOA. It's that Trump threw away the JCPOA. It's absurd.
If they were going to do it, why would they? Why would they do it if they weren't going to do it in the first place?
Because they fucking hate us, dude. Like I admit, they're an enemy.
If they're trying to destroy America and death to America is being chanted again, why does it make it right not to go to war with them to stop them from doing that to us?
Again, okay, so are you going to concede that you could not find evidence that they were violating the JCPOA? Because that is the very specific claim that you made. If you concede that, we can move on to the rest of the conversation.
What I said was they were doing everything but enriching uranium at that point in time for nuclear weapons.
They were allowed to enrich uranium under the JCPOA, but only to 3%, as somebody just reminded us in the chat, but we pulled that up earlier too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because you're allowed to enrich nuclear uranium for the development of nuclear power programs, which is less enrichment than we use for nuclear weapons, to remind everybody who's not been listening the whole time.
Of course. But again, I think they were doing everything up to what they could produce a nuclear weapon. And the minute that stopped...
I said that. Yes, we agree on that.
So again, we agree. So they did everything up until that point to produce a nuclear weapon, and then the minute
no. You're really sidestepping this, and I need to see if you like are going to operate with like the good faith integrity as a debater to admit, were you wrong when you said that there was evidence that they were violating the JCPOA? Yes or no?
The evidence is that they had the technology to do it right after the agreement was nulled out.
No. I've explained why. I've already answered that point. Yes or no? Is there evidence that during the time it was enacted, they did something that they were not allowed to do under the JCPOA?
They might have not done anything they weren't allowed to do. I'll give you that. Okay, hold on. I'll give you that. But again, if they did it immediately after the...
but then it was working. So why did Trump throw the agreement away?
It wasn't working because they were doing everything up until that point. So they were able to enrich it right after it ended. If they had good faith...
Yes, they're a bad actor. They are bad guys that we made a deal with. And of course they're going to do everything to color outside the lines so that then when Trump overthrows the deal, they're ready. They're as ready as they could be to go back on it. We shouldn't have thrown the deal away.
Why would you defend a nation that was trying to extinguish another nation that you are living in?
What I'm saying is that Obama's solution to it was an effective one. Trump's wasn't, and now we're at war. That's bad. I'm saying that's bad. I'm saying that if the JCPOA was still in effect, that would be better, and you have no claim to say otherwise.
My point, and I'll die on this hill, they were already killing tens of thousands of U.S. soldiers in proxy wars that were happening within that region.
That's interesting and important, but here's my problem with the way that this conversation is going, is that I can say a very specific thing like I just said, and even within the topic of Iran's nuclear program, it is still a pivot for you to ignore everything I said and then say, oh, but they did such bad things. Again, for the third time, I will address that claim and say that there are many countries you can say that about. Should we go to war with all of them?
We went to war with all of them, though.
No, we didn't. There are currently many countries that we have not started a conflict with based on the bad things that they're doing. Who
has killed tens of thousands of troops right now that is existing that we have not went to war with? Tens of thousands of U.S. troops that we have not went to war with. Nobody.
Okay, but the current leadership in North Korea. So this is Oscar, the editor, talking. I cannot believe I didn't notice how dumb what that guy just said was. He just said, name a country that has killed tens of thousands of U.S. troops that we have not gone to war with. How would any country have killed tens of thousands of troops if we didn't go to war with them? Very sorry I didn't notice it in the moment. It was such an egregious slip on his part, I felt the need to record some audio of me talking about it now and inserting it into this episode before I put it on YouTube. Holy cow. Back to the call. In North Korea supports that, and we're not going to war with them.
Yeah, but they have not actively done anything to our troops. That's what I'm saying. Again, this is where I'm getting my point to, is where they have actively killed tens of thousands of U.S. troops with their assistance, with proxy.
Okay. Forgive me for getting sidetracked. I let you steamroll me, but I'm going to go right back to it. We can talk about that. I'm not actually going to because you've taken up too much time in my live today. But we could talk about that. But bringing that up is just a separate argument entirely than this thing about the JCPOA, which I've pretty thoroughly cooked you on, dude.
But it's a whole war effort. That's what we're getting at. This is why we're at war, is because of all these reasons, not just one specific thing. So you have to recognize that as well.
Okay, can you recognize that the reason we just spent an hour discussing, you were wrong on that reason?
I will say again, technically you were right, and I'll give that to you, right? But again, if they were able to produce the exact thing they were trying to prevent them from produce a couple months after we ended the agreement, they were already doing in the first place to do it right after the agreement ended. So again, in essence, it didn't matter anyways.
Yeah. Okay, dude, you said I was technically right. That is what I do. I sit here and I make sure that what I say is technically right, so that when people are given the opportunity to go find homework that says I'm wrong, they fail, as you did.
It's not failing. They did exactly what I was saying after the agreement ended within months.
No, what you said is that they were violating the agreement. You can't violate an agreement that has been terminated by the other party.
They weren't violating the agreement, but again, within a couple months, they were enriching uranium up to your grade of a nuclear.
All right. It's gotten too circular, dude. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to talk before I kick you.
We're good. I think we made our point.
Okay, have a lovely day.
You too.
Okay, second ad roll. If you made it to the end on YouTube, thank you so much for listening to the ad roll in the middle and waiting for that guy to come back and do his homework. yeah, I'm just going to say the short version. You can support me for free by following me on the other platforms and promoting the content in any way you can. That doesn't cost you anything, and it really does materially support what I'm doing. And if you want to materially support me with your wallet, there are ways to do that in the link tree in my bio, and I totally appreciate it because every dollar that gets spent on me is more time I can spend doing this, and I really, really care about doing this, and I think I'm good at it. And if you think I'm good at it too, those are the things you can do, some of them for free, that will help me. How we doing, chat? Everybody okay? Everybody okay? Did I give that guy a fair shot to make his point? The Republicans on Instagram say that I don't give anybody a fair shot to make their point. And then I say that, their point usually doesn't fit in a 90-second Instagram reel, but you can go watch the whole conversation on YouTube. And then those people don't reply. Am I giving him a fair chance to I might be giving him too fair a chance. That's a possibility here. But that's okay. Savage Mama says the left is unhinged. Because I don't have a caller up, I'm going to follow a rule I've instituted myself, which is when I see such a person in the chat, I'm going to mute their account for the entire live and say, if you want to continue discussing that matter, you can call in and let me know. Who sent a galaxy? Robin, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means I get to do this more. Thank you so much for that. Cash22 said, you did, but in all fairness, caller stance could have been disproven by my 15-year-old granddaughter. Yeah, I will say, I think it wasn't hard to prove that guy wrong because he was so wrong, especially because I just said go find the source and he couldn't. But I think there's an added layer of making sure it remains entertaining, even though basically that was a call where we Googled for 20 minutes. It's hard to Google and stay entertaining at the same time. I'm working on that. I have ADHD, so very hard to do two different things at once. I struggle with that as a musician. Music's made me way better at doing more than one thing at once. My one-track mind I had before I got really serious on music has really changed, and I actually think that's a way that music has influenced my life in a very positive way outside of everything that music does for me that is wonderful, because I love music, and I love what music's done for my life. Robin says, I appreciate your intelligence. Thank you. I don't really like talking about intelligence, but I think that I do, as a fact would have it, as I mentioned briefly to the caller when he started mentioning his accomplishments, I tutored 17 subjects when I went to college. I know how to do this. And a lot of the people I worked with were not the brightest bulbs in the school, because if you're at the tutoring center to learn how to look up a source for your English 101 class, a lot of those people I'm not going to judge for it. A lot of them had just gotten out of prison and were going to a community college. So I have a lot of experience helping people who don't have these sorts of skills figure out, how to do their research and how to, do their homework and stuff like that. Boo hoo hoo, all libtards. Ooh, I almost said the word. I muttered it. I'm not supposed to say that word because of TikTok TOS. All lib slurs are crying their asses off. Free comedy. Username suggests to me that you're just a throwaway account and a bot. So I am going to do what I do, and I'm going to mute you for the entire live and say that if you want to defend that claim that I'm up here just boo hoo crying, then hit the request button and come tell me how you feel, because I like to platform people I don't like, because this is not an echo chamber. Anyway, Catch22 says they tutored junior high school students reading and research. Yeah, one of the classes that I taught for was a remedial class that you were given if you didn't even quite test into English 101. So I taught people how to do very basic research. So far, I like the way you debate. It seems fair whether I agree or not. I don't even know if that's a supporter or not commenting, and that's the idea. I try to argue in good faith above all else. Just subscribed on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. I think this might be a one caller day. I've been live for just over an hour, and to meet my goal of live streaming every single day in April, I am going to try to just make an hour. So I might start winding the chat down, because I have a mountain of video editing to do today, because holy cow, did I have a good stream yesterday, and is there some good stuff coming. Anyway, I also am very excited about the fact that I just personally feel like I'm getting good enough at this that a greater percentage of my calls are worth posting on YouTube, because I obviously have the occasional 20 or 30 minute call where it's just such a mess and I'm not able to keep them on track, that it doesn't matter whether I look good or bad in it. It's just not good content, and I do need the YouTube channel to succeed. So maybe someday I'll be like Dean Withers, and the entire show that I do, regardless of what happens in it, will be live. But until I can reliably get callers quickly, that's not going to be the case. But getting there, man. It's there have been times where I've sat here for an hour and not gotten a caller, and that hasn't happened in weeks. This is going very, very well for me. Thanks for the follows. I see everybody following. They fought us in Iraq is a lame argument. We shouldn't have been in Iraq. Yeah, I mean, that guy made a bunch of bad arguments. Somebody said semantics, they didn't violate, we're levels too high just have started. Yeah, his whole claim about that was just absolutely ridiculous. Sally Chatsman 7 says to Real Mom Energy, what did Real Mom Energy say? There's a conversation going on. I'm not going to scroll up and read it all. But somebody says, I don't know enough about it to debate it. Well, I support our president, so I guess I'm an op. But I do like your debating style. Okay, yeah. So Sally is an op, and yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's actually like maybe I'm about to lose some favor with you, because what I will say is that I think it's really hard to defend Trump with good, like that guy seemed to be arguing in reasonable good faith and not doing like the worst tactics. I pointed out some things I didn't like he was doing, but that's why he practically cooked himself, is because he was being honest. And if you're honest about Trump, it's a self loss if you're trying to defend him, because he's indefensible. Yeah, so again, like there's like conversation in the chat about the fact that the JCPOA could have been stricter, but again, they did have to agree to it. That's like one of the things that we have to, designing a nuclear agreement with Iran, one of the qualifications for that agreement is that Iran agrees to it. So like, yeah, it's a game of chess, right? Like when people talk about all this 4D chess that Iran was playing, Obama was like actually playing 4D chess. He was like, all right, we got to make sure this deal's good. They're definitely going to keep trying to build ballistic missiles. We can't stop them doing that. They're definitely going to keep enriching uranium for their nuclear program, their nuclear power program. We can't stop them doing that, but we can keep them from doing it above 3%, and that's definitely going to stop a nuclear war from starting as long as the agreement stays in place, which Trump threw it out. So all the things that guy was mad at Iran about were things that were things that Trump created as the situation. So yeah, I don't know. I find it interesting whenever like callers like that are always like, all right, you're clearly very educated, clearly know what you're talking about, and I'm just like, are you just stalling by recognizing that I'm good at this? Like, it's like, yeah, dude, like it's hard doing this. It's a lot of. Like, I want to take a nap every time I sign off. I like use up my brain for the day. What am I the victim of today, Quentin? Nothing. I'm having a great day. I'm having a real good day. Obama gave them cash. He needs to be prosecuted. Okay, if you think that we should prosecute the president when they do bad or illegal things, interesting thoughts. I think it'd be more important to talk about Trump because he is the president and Obama's retired. Maybe we can prosecute Obama, but we should definitely prosecute the president for doing bad things. I think Trump did more bad things. And if you disagree with me, you can hit the button and we can talk about it. Anyway. Thank you for the galaxy again, Robin. I like it came at a moment in the call where I was like, what a nice little button on the thing. All of MAGA media is calling for Trump to be removed. Think Republican Congress will do it. Oh yeah, so I mean, we've seen greater calls for the invocation of the 25th Amendment this week than we have prior. The problem with the 25th Amendment is that, of course, the list of people who would need to agree on removing Trump is a list of people who's probably not going to agree on removing Trump. So it's a little bit like supporting the impeachment movements, which are just, a non-starter until we get rid of this Republican majority in Congress. Because that's the big problem with what's going on. Ooh, this is a new one. Hat and mustache? I look good. What kind of gift is that? Thanks whoever sent that. Who sent that? What is that? Hat and mustache. A taco. Fun username. Thank you for the hat and mustache. That was fun. Yeah, so the problem with democracies is that if you elect people who don't follow the rules, then the democracy fails, and that's what's going on in America right now. We have enough Republicans in the legislative branch in particular who are willing to not follow the rules that the president no longer has to follow the rules because he has the support of Congress, regardless of what he does. 3 Republicans flipped on the Epstein files. Maybe more will flip on the Iran war. Maybe more will flip. Maybe not because of the Iran war, but because the president threatened to genocide 90 million people, which is a war crime. By the way, I always have to say it. Yes, he threatened to commit a war crime. No, he didn't do it yet, because he might still. Threatening to commit a war crime is a war crime itself. Just like harming somebody, like assaulting somebody is a crime. Threatening to assault somebody is still a crime. It just doesn't help. It doesn't make it good. Anyway, who removed your comment? Adventure Dad said he removed my comment. I don't know what comment you're talking about. Maybe TikTok removed. Does TikTok remove comments automatically? I bet there's some filters on there. But I don't actually have a moderator right now. I'm the only one watching the chat. So Adventure Dad, don't know what you're talking about. You can try to make your comment again. Anyway, no, he didn't. I can still see it. Oh, did you say something that you want me to respond to? Is it up there? I can't read all the messages. There's too many. So if I've missed something, feel free to say it again. I don't consider that spam. it's people are confirming that yes, TikTok removes condiments. I've seen enough bad stuff in the chats that I think maybe they don't. But yeah, okay. So if there's a comment I missed, maybe reword it, because I'm not trying to silence you. TikTok potentially is, which is why I'm working on a project on the side, which is to get some of the more serious like bad guy debaters on here to talk to me in a private video call, so that we can say whatever we want and we can post it to YouTube. Because YouTube's still the Wild West. As long as you don't violate music copyright law, you can do pretty much whatever you want on YouTube and you won't get removed. So excited about that now that I have a big enough following to actually have that make sense to do. Single moms raise sassy sons. They voted for Kamala. This live is the proof. My father drank himself to death after some assholes flew a plane into the building he worked in. So sure, yeah, I guess. But I was an adult when he died. It took him a long time to drink himself to death. What's your point? Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I'm proof. Sassy. I am kind of sassy. I'm way less sassy in real life. Like I get so many character attacks on here where they're like, "Oh my god, you must be insufferable to be around." And it's like, do you think this is the way I behave when I'm in the bar? I'm on a TikTok live. This isn't the tone. Do you think I talk this fast all the time? Oh god, I would get sick of that. I bet he bets I'm meek in real life. I don't know, dude. There's a bunch of footage of me like going to the protests, and you can disagree about whether or not that's something I should be doing, but standing up to those armed guys who pretty unabashedly unalive people for getting up to that type of stuff, I wouldn't call that behavior meek, personally. Anyway, so yeah, you can go, this is my real life. I am a real person. This camera that's pointed at me, it's in my apartment. This is real, but outside is probably what you mean. There is video of me outside. On Saturday, it's Fuck Ice Day, I'm going to the Whipple building in Minneapolis, because that's where I live, Minneapolis, and we are gonna go celebrate how much we fucking hate ICE with all my activism buddies that I've made. That's gonna be lots of fun. I'm gonna live stream that. So if you want to go see what I'm like when I'm outside, hit the follow button and follow my stream on Saturday, round about midday. I'm gonna be at the Whipple building and shit's gonna get crazy. So maybe follow on the other platforms, because if shit gets too crazy, you know, I can't really show myself being non-meek on TikTok. It violates TOS, but YouTube allows it. So I might have to switch from TikTok over to YouTube when things start getting hairy, when the guns start coming out, when the tear gas starts flying, when the LRAD comes out, and we all have to put our earbuds in so that we don't blow our eardrums out for exercising our First Amendment right. When all that happens on Saturday, you can watch if you want to. Should be good content. Anyway, it's like, man, like I try not to be too self-aggrandizing, but like it's just the one thing. When people say I'm like weak and a loser, or like unbrave or whatever, it's just false. I'm sorry. Like I do some scary shit. Living in Minneapolis through Metro Surge was pretty frightening, and I was at the Mueller Park incident that is potentially going to get Gregory Bovino charged, and I have really good footage that's going to be used in the case, and I'm so excited about that. Because I was there. I didn't interact with Bovino. He was like 2 cars down, but I did have my rights violated there, and I helped an old lady clean tear gas out of her eyes because she lived a few blocks away, and she came out to see what the commotion was, and she got tear gas in her face for walking down the street in her own neighborhood. And there is footage on my TikTok of me helping her with that. I'm glad that she found me online and said that she was okay with me posting it, because it was a kind of a dark moment, but you know, there've been some dark moments lately. Anyway, yeah, that's Mueller Park incident was crazy. I can't even have the footage on TikTok. I don't think that there's a publicly view. I have a 1:45 segment that I've submitted as evidence for the case against Gregory Bovino, and I'd be amazed if it wasn't used. Gregory Bovino and everybody else who was there. Be careful at these protests. I'll say to you what I said to my mom, which is that I'll be careful after my neighbors are safe. It's not really the time to be careful. People were too. Individuals who maybe could have done more were a little too careful in the 30s in Germany, little too interested in their own safety, and I don't think it's really the time for that. So I'm gonna keep doing what I can, whatever that means. And on a day like today, where the Signal chat isn't telling me that there's an ICE raid happening nearby, I'm gonna sit here and do a live. Oh man, so yeah, it's he threatened civilian infrastructure, also a war crime. Yeah, in addition to threatening civilian infrastructure, we also have bombed civilian infrastructure. We have also committed that war crime. So craziness. I am just going to chat a little longer. I don't think I'm going to take another caller today, just because, like I said, I got some work to do. I got a gig in 6 hours, and I gotta not let the streams pile up. I haven't edited yesterday's stream, and it was 3 hours long, and there were like 4 or 5 really good conversations to post on YouTube. So like, there's this conveyor belt of like, if I spend an hour live streaming, I need to spend roughly an hour at least listening to it, because I can't pay attention to what's going to be a good clip while the call is happening. I'm just certainly not skilled enough to like reach over and scribble a timestamp every time. So I have to listen through and get the Instagram clips. And and then like decide, like cut the conversations and like crop them horizontal and like a little bit of video editing to get all the stuff pushed to YouTube. So like an hour of streaming is like 2 or 3 hours of work total minimum, including the hour streaming. And so streaming every day is like, let's not let the work pile up. Somebody asked what type of music I perform. I'm a folk singer, so I do like, I don't know, like I do a lot of like Johnny Cash stuff. I do this like hilariously good Johnny Cash impression, which is funny because my speaking voice isn't that deep, but I'm a baritone country singer. But like my own music is kind of more like if Johnny Cash was the lead singer of the Mountain Goats. Somebody said that to me at a bar once when I was performing, and I was like, "Ooh, you have detected the type of music I listen to." He loves Johnny Cash. Wonderful. Yeah, there's some videos of me singing on the social media. I did start social media last year, like just on Instagram, to like start experimenting with posting videos of me doing some music and stuff. I like. I just like don't like social media. I'm using it for this because there's like a fascism thing happening. So more music to come because I'm not interested in having a separate music account. But how are we defining the wrong side? I just think people who supported Trump are going to be shamed for the rest of American history. I think history. I think it won't be an opinion that the Trump administration was bad. In the same way that it's not an opinion that Hitler's administration was bad. I think history is going to look at this time and think, yeah, that was terrible. How can we explain that so many people supported it? The same question we asked about Hitler. Same question we still do ask about Hitler. Read the book, Hitler's Willing Executioners. Very interesting psychological analysis of the everyday people in Germany that let it happen. I think there's a lot to learn about from that book about what's going on now. Real mom energy. Man, there's like a whole argument happening. I'm not paying attention to it. There are no sides at the top. The Rothschilds have stated in the past that all wars are theirs. Yeah, I mean, I think actually there's a wealthy elite that are like the problem. But the issue is that the party affiliation aside, the problem is that Trump supporters are supporting the wealthy elite that are like ruining everything. It should be all of us versus them, but they've tricked half of the country, roughly, actually much less, about a third of the country at this point. They've tricked about a third of the country to support them, which is just terrible. How do you feel about all the corruption only Trump was willing to expose? What? What corruption? What corruption has Trump exposed? Give me an example. Give me a list. Give me an article to read. Like, Trump. Yeah, that's the other answer. The chat got there before I did. Trump's wildly corrupt. I don't know how you can defend. Like, I don't know how you can use corruption as a concern in American politics and not want Trump out of office when he's the most flagrantly corrupt American president in modern history. So much more corrupt than Nixon. So much more. All of this stuff he's doing, Watergate looks like nothing. See, now we see it the opposite. How do we fix this? Dude, what a good faith question. Sally, I'll give you like a point for that. That is a totally good faith question. I think part of it is what I'm doing here. I think that the only caller we've had today who took up most of the live, like, demonstrated how hard a time he had. Eyes on Minnesota. That looks like a friendly username. I'm going to have them up really quick, and maybe it'll be a friendly chat before I go about my day, because I don't think I've got time for another ops chat. Eyes on Minnesota. Are you over the age of 18? How old are you?
I am 34, actually.
I believe you. Are you friendly?
Absolutely, I am.
We can talk for a minute. It's just, this is what I call the just us girls part of the live stream, where I don't care about the news anymore. So we can hang out for a minute. What's up? What do you want to talk about?
Love that. So I'm surprised that we have not done the 25th yet. It's really frustrating, even coming from yet another Minnesotan. Eden Prairie represent. So it's just infuriating, especially with what, this state has all been through. I know myself, I've done a lot of stuff for the community around in Eden Prairie. I've done and held barbecues. I've legit brought groceries to my neighbors that were too terrified to go outside because, they didn't know if they were going to be picked up by ICE or not.
I want to interrupt you and just like announce to everybody watching, to the 50 or so people still watching, that like it doesn't get a lot of like news coverage the things that everyday Minnesotans did and have continued to do because of Metro Surge, and now in a continuing effort since then. But like these illegal signal chats that people were in, they're not illegal, by the way, but the like hundreds of thousands of people in the Metro joined them. The number of people who were involved in this effort was like 20% of the population, which is absolutely crazy. And there's an enormous grassroots efforts of doing exactly what you were just describing, which is delivering groceries, running basic errands for people who are afraid to leave their homes, which I would like say is literally analogous to like feeding the Jews that were hiding in the attics in Germany. So like, thank you. That's not the work I chose to do. In fact, some of the people doing that work have politely like negotiated to distance themselves from me because I'm such a target because of the public facing thing that I do. So I just want everybody in the chat to like send the W's for Eyes on Minnesota, my guest, and for everybody who did something that was non-performative, that doesn't make good content, that doesn't promote, knowledge about this on social media. The amount of behind the scenes work that's been doing good for people and making this difficult time better is enormous and heartwarming. And I cry about it sometimes. And thank you.
Absolutely, not a problem at all. And I'm, blessed to be part of a really decent community, especially towards the Twin Cities and in Eden Prairie and the surrounding area. I know a lot of people are kind of looking out for their neighbors and stuff, especially in this general area. So shout out to everybody else that's doing their part too. I know paramedics that have gone out and towards the protests and stuff like that. And they've, a lot of those guys are literally in like negative 60 below weather, and you and I know what that's like.
the street medics have rendered aid to me a number of times, so I can like give them my personal thank you. But also, like, it's so incredible that I feel so much safer at these things when they're using crowd munitions and stuff. When like to know that like, if you get really badly hurt, you are like we get made fun of for it, but if you get badly hurt, you can scream medic. And a medic will come help you, will drag you out of danger and render aid to you. So like when people yell like medic in these protests, we're not cosplaying. We have medics. Like
absolutely.
With a big red cross on their forehead and a big red backpack full of gear, and they'll pour water in your eyes before you know what's going on.
Exactly it. So I mean, I feel like, just being part of that community and being around other people that actually want to stand up and, support what's going on and, going against ICE as well as standing up to the president. I mean, honestly, this guy needs to be out of office. And whenever people are kind of saying, oh, well, for example, when it comes to Iran, right? When they're like, oh, well, all these people do is they threaten America. They keep saying, unalive America. Well, I don't know about you, but I grew up with like knowing that the saying called sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, they can say everything that they want. Like, cool. Yeah. Say everything that you want. But you know what does hurt? Boom booms. Those hurt.
Yep, that hurts. It hurts when people have their civil rights violated without, like loss of due process or other amendment rights. Like, there's a lot of stuff that actually hurts. I want to answer quickly something that came up in the chat, which is like, we're talking about you helping the people who stayed inside, and somebody said, didn't people have to stay inside during COVID? Can we compare that to the Holocaust? No, I will say no, and here's the reason why. The Holocaust and the current situation that's happening under Trump's administration, the responsible party, the evil that caused the danger that causes people to have to hide inside are people. And we can hold people responsible for the things that they do. In COVID, the big danger that made it unsafe to go outside was a virus. And it's like almost sad that it wasn't a more scary virus like Ebola that makes you bleed out of your eyes and ears, because if it was that visibly scary, I think people wouldn't question the orders to stay inside. So yeah, if there were bombs falling from the sky, you'd go underground or leave town. And you wouldn't say that the person ordering you to do that is tyrannical. You would be upset with the person dropping the bombs on you. So
absolutely. And with like some of the stuff that, the rhetoric that's coming out from Trump's mouth is saying, oh, well, they're welcoming these bombs coming at us. You know what I mean?
That was actually the biggest lie I have heard him tell in recent memory. Right. On Monday, Trump got behind the lectern and claimed that the intelligence machine in Iran, our intelligence over Iran, has been detecting radio calls from the people that he are bombing. And they're saying, please come back. You're not done. You didn't get them all. Please keep bombing us. And I heard it. And it was just the most like, that shit didn't happen happen shit I have ever heard. I think I've got a pretty good lie detector, and I'm not even gonna like cite a source on this because I don't think I need one. I've just never seen him so obviously make some shit up on the spot. That is a crazy thing. When I say that that's a crazy thing for the president to say, I mean it so literally that we should invoke the 25th Amendment, because we're supposed to invoke the 25th Amendment if the president goes fucking crazy.
Absolutely. And
Why?
I mean, with what he's been doing, it's clear evidence that he is legitimately going insane.
Yeah, which he is. I mean, like there's an irony in the fact that like the best we Democrats could do in 2020 was like another going senile old white dude. Because like, you know, Biden, I don't think his presidency was terrible. I think he did a good job saving the economy from COVID, but I was not excited about him as a candidate. I don't like that we had a president who for like decades in the 80s and 90s like agreed to policies in the Senate that were bad for minorities. Like, yeah, like what, you know, not great, inoptimal. But like Trump is, in addition to everything else we've been talking about, 80 years old and overweight. Like he's showing signs of poor health. He got them clock ticking cankles on you know, showing that his days are numbered, and like people are talking about him running in 2028, which would be bad for a whole litany of other reasons. Insanity.
Absolutely. And it just blows my mind that people follow this guy still. And I don't know. I'm shaking my head with every other Democrat. I'm shaking my head with every other liberal. I identify as a progressive. So it's, you know, it's just mind blowing and what we're actually going through in these times. And I want people to actually like pay attention. I mean, vote in the primary. I don't know how much louder I can scream it on the top of my lungs. Please vote in the primary. Your part.
Yeah, do your part. Well, I mean, that's the big thing. It's like in terms of like actionable policy right now, the most important thing for everyday Americans to get up to speed on is that the midterms are at risk of not being free and fair. So like, if you don't know what the SAVE Act is, get to reading, because the SAVE Act affects you and me, and it's the SAVE Act. If the SAVE Act passes, it could be the thing that the history books look at as the moment democracy in America fell.
Absolutely. And I'll say like your the previous guest that you had up, and I tuned in a little bit before I had to actually answer a phone call. Mm-hmm. He kind of sounded like more of a right wing, just by his voice, more of a right wing Jesse Ventura. So I kind of
he did a little bit, yeah.
So I was kind of laughing at that.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, the characters that call in. There's a degree to which there's an archetype where it's like I feel like 80% of my calls are the same 50-year-old white dude whose wife doesn't talk to him anymore, and who are gonna like, you know, pull the age card or the military service card or the master's degree card as that guy did, and it's just like, dude, like what you're saying doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter who you are or what you've done with the rest of your life. What matters is that you're being a fool right now. Like that's what we're talking about. That is what's going on.
Absolutely, and it's embarrassing.
I'll answer the chat because we've got one dissident in the chat, Sally's chat. Which, by the way, I welcome dissidents in the chat. I appreciate you for behaving yourself, Sally, in your conversation that you're having. But I just want to say, Sally, if they had invoked the 25th Amendment against Biden towards the end of his term because of his mental acuity, I'd have been fine with that. Like
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, again, because like. When Biden was still running, this is something that I told to people in my real life. This was my talking point like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whenever that was, before I had done anything online, is I would tell people in my real life that the reason you can't like I think that Biden and Trump are both too old to be president. I think they're both in too poor health. Trump was in too poor physical health at the time, and his mental health was obviously ailing. And Biden was in pretty good physical health, but obviously his mental health had been declining due to age, and that was a concern. So what I said is that if we're stuck picking between those two evils, if we're stuck between that rock and the hard place, what we find is that if the president does get removed because of the 25th or because they die of old age or something like that, let's think about how that goes for each of these two bad options. If Biden dies or gets removed under the 25th, Kamala Harris becomes president, and the entire administration of patriotic, democracy-loving Americans that work in a Democratic administration will then continue working for his policy positions. Whereas if Trump dies, J.D. Vance becomes president, Stephen Miller, Mike Johnson, Pete Hegseth, people like that suddenly run the country. That is a bigger problem, I think, than Trump being president, which is why I'm not super excited about any result other than impeachment, which would set the precedent that J.D. Vance needs to behave himself, because we are in fucking trouble if like Trump is the least consistent, least competent component of the fascistic machine that's running our government right now. The looks he gets from the people I just listed when he says something dumb, when he accidentally says classified information on the TV, demonstrate that they are worried about his security. Now, it would be unpopular for them to invoke the 25th, so they're not going to do it. But I would bet, here's my speculation, tinfoil hat time, I would bet that those people I just mentioned, Pete Hegseth, Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, I think that those people are hoping Trump dies of old age, because when that happens, they can get to work at better running the fascistic machine that they have built with the help of the Heritage Foundation, because Trump is fucking incompetent. But they'll lose political favor if they overthrow him.
Absolutely. And I do feel like JD Vance is more of a follower, right? I feel like he's more of a follower, not a leader. I feel like, you know, he just doesn't give off that vibe as, you know, a potential leader for the country.
Him as a pick for vice president makes sense when you consider what I said earlier about the fact how it's a very small number of like wealthy, elite, powerful people who are doing all this. Like, I think like fewer than 10,000 people are like really the bad guys in this country. And it's roughly 300 million Americans who, some of us have been fooled by it and some of us haven't been fooled by it. But if you look at Trump's strategy of picking the Republican Party, which he switched to after being a lifelong Democrat, because Republicans are easier to fool into making a rapist be the president. It's the same thing where if you look at those like everyday MAGA Republicans who like aren't paying attention to the news and think that Trump is doing a good job getting them illegals out and making my pay better, making my groceries cheaper, whatever they think that he's doing, JD Vance is like a good poster child for that demographic of America, the hillbilly elegy, right? Like the savior of the poor uneducated guy from some random town. So yeah, him as a puppet for that purpose makes a lot of sense, but I don't think he has the leadership characteristics of a tyrant. He doesn't have the charisma, frankly. So I'd be very curious to see how it goes if he becomes president.
Absolutely. And I mean, I don't know. We're in a scary time right now where a lot of people are like at a standstill, just kind of watching to see what's going to happen. And that in itself, like, I don't know if I can legitimately walk down the street and ask somebody if they're not anxious about what this administration is doing. Because I can guarantee you a lot of them are going to say yes.
Well, and that's what I was trying to get the previous caller to understand, because he just couldn't, he couldn't get his head around the fact that Trump's inconsistent behavior should concern him. The fact that what all the things he's saying that Trump is saying and doing, he actually started the call by giving a good argument against Trump, and I basically just said, like, right, if he's so inconsistent and unable to like actually do what he says he's going to do, like, how do you know what he's going to do next week? I know what Biden's going to do next week. Even if he goes mentally ill and needs to be 25th out of office, I still know what's going to happen next week, because Kamala Harris isn't going to take the presidency and then suddenly change all the policy positions. But you don't know what's going to happen with Trump. We on Tuesday did not know if we were going to wake up to Iran having been obliterated in some horrible way. 90 million people live there. There's 50 to 100 million people died in World War II. If Trump had said what he said he was going to do on Truth Social, it would have potentially been worse in terms of human cost than World War II. And I'm not just talking about the Holocaust, in which 6 million Jews died. I'm talking about the entire war. We don't know the exact number. It's 50 to 100 million people, because records weren't good at the time, obviously. But enormous, tens of millions of people live in Iran. Most of them just trying to live their lives.
Yep, and just with him saying this on Truth Social or on any social media platform, right? It should worry people. Any type of rhetoric that comes out of a president's mouth or a leader's mouth, mind you, and seeing the stuff that Trump is saying, like, that should concern every American, and it's concerning people worldwide. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know where the Trump supporters can kind of say, oh, well, this is what I voted for. Like, you voted for somebody that isn't only an SA offender, but as well as, he's legitimately putting fear all over the world. So, and you voted for that. And honestly, I'm going to say it like this. My wife actually voted for Donald Trump, and she regrets every second of it. She's actually been another person that has gone to these protests with myself. So, and I do applaud a lot of Trump supporters or people who voted for Trump that have literally thought about it and said, hey, you know what? I messed up. Like,
yeah, I'm nicer to the people who like are savable than a lot of commentators are. And I do just think, like, you can't like, as terrible a thing this is to say, it's like, obviously not like half the people in Germany were evil. There's like something about a fascistic regime that's appealing to some people's mindset, and we have to be forgiving of that fact when there's like clearly a huge swath of the population that is that way. So like, there are tons of people who have voted for Trump and come about, and I'm happy for them, and I say like, I'm glad you found the way. And even to people who still support him, I think, you know, I can appreciate that if you are simply uneducated about what's going on, there is a very powerful machine that has made it look to you like Trump is the right option, and I'm here to convince you otherwise. And I can start getting mean if I realize that the reason they still support Trump is because they're bigoted or hateful or misogynistic or whatever the reason is. But if they're just fooled, if they just like believed the bullshit, I'm not going to be mad at that person. That's a situation where I see a person who needs my help, and I'm going to do my best to give them that help. And being an asshole to them just isn't effective in that way. And a lot of the calls on here, it is the former case where it's somebody bigoted and that's entertaining and like whatever. But those entertaining calls, those that I get where I get like really crazy clips of people saying wild things and I get to promote my social media with them, all of that helps the effort of getting that 10% of the callers type caller where they actually just get educated on what's going on. I listened to an episode of Dean Withers while I was driving for work this morning, and he had a regular caller who I recognize, who's been calling in for like weeks and months, who the whole timeline of Trump delaying the release of the Epstein files and then like finally only announcing to support that when his hand was forced, he laid that out to her in such a way that she finally saw that even if you check on Fox News, the timeline is such that it's clear Trump is hiding the Epstein files, and he convinced a caller. This is an episode from like last week. I'm behind on my Dean Withers, but like it's like that call that not only obviously changed a mind, but it's also that type of call that will change the minds of viewers instead of just having us all laugh at a bigot. But the laughing at the bigot definitely promotes the better work of like doing these more productive conversations. But I'm just not going to be mean to somebody who I think has been fooled. That's not a good enough reason to be mean to somebody.
Absolutely agreed. And sometimes, I mean, like I've done debates before. I've been part of different ones around TikTok and stuff. And, you know, sometimes it's just like talking to a wall. You know, some bigots just don't listen. And what I want people to actually realize on TikTok lives, if you're going to debate with an open mind, please. I want you to actually go out and actually learn something. Listen to the other person's perspective rather than just sticking on your, you know, staying where you're at in your political beliefs, because, you know, this is a big concern all across the country, all over the world. Come in with an open mind, speak your piece, see if you can debate about it. And if you're actually learning something, then you actually got something from that debate. That makes that debate very successful.
Yeah, and as a host, I need to always pay attention to the fact that I will say something that, like, a lot of time when you say something that actually is effective and you show somebody that they're wrong, they have a defense mechanism. This is just a psychological thing where their brain, like, this is the pivot where they'll immediately bring up something else, and it's like, no. I, as the host, have to remember, no, I got him. I need to stick him on that. I need to go back. Yep, we'll talk about Obama in a second. We'll talk about Biden in a second. We'll talk about COVID in a second. We'll talk about Kamala in a second. We'll talk about Iran, Iraq or Afghanistan or North Korea or whatever in a second. I just said this to you, and for the fourth time in a row, you brought up something else. But again, yes or no, this claim, do you now recognize that I was right about that? And sometimes you have to do that 10 times in a row and say, like, dude, I'm not going to let you go. Like, we need to talk about this thing that we seem to have demonstrated you were wrong about. And if you're not willing to admit that you were wrong about it, then I don't see the point of you calling into this show. Because the other thing you could do is prove that you're not wrong about it, but you're not able to do that, which is why you're bringing up Obama or Kamala or whatever thing they're bringing up. So I just have to, like, do the work of, like, it's hard because I have ADHD, so my brain wants to go wherever the shiny thing is. but I have to, like, do the mental exercise of, like, the call I had today, where it's like, no. The claim is that Iran was violating the JCPOA. No other claim is being discussed until I get a concession on this. And chat, how many? For those of you who listened since the beginning, because it's been almost over an hour at this point, how many times did I have to direct the guest back to that claim? It's a 2-digit number, you know. It's something like crazy, like 20 or 30 times. I told that guy, back to the claim. Did they violate the JCPOA? And it's just like, if you can't stick on one thing, like you're not having a conversation. You're not getting to the root of the problem. We can't agree to disagree and move on because the entire crux of your argument is that the JCPOA was violated by Iran, which he couldn't provide evidence of. I was ready for it. When we started Googling, I was like, might be time for me to wear some egg on my face. We're going to see if there's evidence of Iran violating the JCPOA. Turns out we couldn't find any.
Absolutely. And I mean, even if you're wearing egg on your face, like, you know, that's something.
I'm wrong sometimes. Yeah.
1,000%. Like, you know, sometimes, like, as creators and as hosts, we kind of have to be like, hey, you know what? If I have to concede to a point, I will, I'm not going to just sit here and be like, oh, well, this didn't happen. This didn't happen. Like, another really good thing to do as debating, and I want, the viewers and I want people to comment on this. Like, if you are going to debate, I want you to realize that sometimes it's okay to concede, right?
Yep.
And if you're not, if you're not willing to learn, just don't join a debate. Don't try to talk on these panels and stuff like that, because most of the time, I've ran into people that have gotten their feelings really, really hurt, right? Because they lost, or I'm not even kidding you. I came across a panel yesterday, and it was a legit trauma panel from Dean Withers. Dean Withers.
Wait. I have a better label for it. I'd call that a burn unit.
Oh my God. It was outstanding. They're like, oh, well, I'm like, and I talked to her. I said, okay, so what points did you bring up to Dean? Right. And did you take anything from this debate, or are you just going to kind of be,
I think the big question is, was Dean wrong?
Right.
Like, how is Dean wrong? What did he? I mean, it's when I started doing this, I was amazed by how quickly I saw that the sphere of influence of people who do this effectively is really small. So not only am I only people keep telling me to get in touch with Dean. I'm not going to go bother him. But if you want to tell him that I exist, feel free. But we've got some mutual friends now. So I kind of, if I keep being successful at this, it's a little bit of a matter of time thing before he and I cross paths in some kind of social media way, or if he has me on his live or something, which would be really exciting. But what I immediately found is when I started doing this, I thought, oh my God, I've been listening to Dean Withers. I know all these callers. I know their talking points. I know what they're going to say next because I've heard them say it to Dean Withers. I literally will listen to Dean Withers during while I'm doing chores, and then his stream will end because I don't go live while Dean Withers is live because we have the same audience, so it cannibalizes. And then somebody who called into the show that I just listened to will call in and try to make the same arguments to me, and sometimes I tell them, sometimes I don't tell them that I know exactly everything they're about to say. And then in that situation, I get to benefit from Dean Withers' work because I already know exactly how to destroy their argument, the fastest way, the most concise way. I already know the excuses they're going to bring up, so I can bake them into my rebuttal before they even say them. So then when they go and say them, they look even more silly because they weren't listening; they were just waiting for the next talking point. So there's all this technical stuff in the background there, but the more I do it, it feels like I'm leveling up my character. It's like a caller will make an argument, and I'm like, I know this one. I know I got a bookmark for this one.
Oh yeah. When it comes,
it's getting easy.
Right, and when it comes to Dean and Parker, right? These guys are very.
Oh, by the way, just to the chat, whoever just said shout out Terminal Gang, if you're still here. Hello, everybody. That's my gig tonight. I'm going to the Terminal Bar. I'm gonna do the dangerous thing and say to the public that I'm gonna be at the Terminal Bar in Northeast Minneapolis this evening playing guitar for the comedians. So if you want to come say hi, you can come say hi, buy a beer, and support your local creatives. Anyway,
heck yes.
Just us girls here, right? Nobody's gonna come assassinate me. I hope not.
Right, and when it comes to Dean and Parker and stuff, people need to realize that these guys have been doing this for years. And yes, I mean, Dean in the past has said some pretty negative stuff, but we all have, right? Especially with people like myself. I'm a millennial back when I remember when South Park started. And those guys were completely unhinged with a lot of their episodes and stuff. And, to this day, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's just South Park being South Park. But I mean, with Dean Withers, he knows kind of how to do the Bugs Bunny tactic. And I love it every single time where he will.
Bugs Bunny tactic. That's a new phrase for me.
In a sense, because when he says, when he's trying to get somebody on a gotcha moment or whatever, they will always circle back and be like, see, that's exactly what I just said. Or they replay a clip of this individual saying something and be like, I got you here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and
I'm working on the technical infrastructure for being able to dual stream and like also broadcast this to YouTube. Because the reason that Dean Withers is able to do that is because he has his own YouTube stream open in a tab, and YouTube live on the spot gives you the VOD to scrub through. So he's literally just like hitting the arrow key backwards on his thing. Here's an idea. I'm gonna do a thing that Dean Withers doesn't do because I'm a music guy, so I have the technology to do this. I'm gonna put a voice filter over the VOD playback such that the listeners who aren't looking at the screen but are just listening to it in their earbuds can tell that what's being played back is a replay. I'm just going to put like a little radio crackle static over it so that the voice sounds different, because it's very disruptive when you're listening to Dean and he's scrubbing through the stream and you can't tell if it's him talking or the stream VOD talking because it's identical audio from 60 seconds ago. So I'm going to have like a flashback audio filter that I'm going to develop so people can hear the difference.
And that would be really, really cool.
Here's my chief complaint against Dean Withers, because like he's doing a great job and he's doing great work, and I really truly have nothing negative to say about him. But Dean, you are making too much money doing this to not improve your technology. Hire a producer. There's a couple technical things where it's like, dude, like, just great stuff, but like he's a musician too. He should know what he's doing. And it's like stuff like that. Like when I can forgive myself for not always having like the most clean stream overlay when I pull up a resource or something. But I'm working on it all the time, and that's one of the things I want to care about as I keep doing this, is to continuously improve the production value as I get more time and money available to do it.
Absolutely. So, and a lot of people who want to go and debate Dean, they need to realize that like these guys, like I said earlier, they've been doing it for a very, very long time.
Anna, I love you, but you actually don't need to share the live. We're wrapping up for the day. I appreciate you so much, but like this is the Just Us Girls part of the chat. We're just talking with friendlies and signing off. And I'm actually gonna stretch it another 8 minutes because then I get a 2-hour thing, which like helps with the live rewards thing. So I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit longer. But so love you, Anna. Thank you so much, but not necessary at this exact moment.
Appreciate the shared live, Anna. Big shout out to you.
Yeah.
Definitely, if anybody hasn't subscribed to, not subscribed, but followed Oskar, yes, please do that, because us Minnesotans, we got a lot to say. So,
am I gonna see you on Saturday in person?
You might actually.
I don't know what you look like, but you know what I look like. I will be at the front.
Yes,
with my phones out streaming, and I might build it by Saturday. I have 2 phones. I have my main primary phone and then like my previous phone that I kept, and I film and stream at the same time. So because I don't get high quality stream VODs from TikTok. They're like super baked down and low quality. So when you see that I have like good clips from my live stream, they're not from my live stream. It's a whole separate camera. It's a whole thing. But again, always trying to increase the technology on this.
Oh, absolutely. I know there's I think I can't remember her name. I think it's Amanda. She's also another political debater on TikTok.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you again. I just want to say before they go, Sally Chatsman 7, you seem like you're a good faith like op. So like another day, like please follow and call in. I'd love to talk to you about some of this stuff because I think it could be a very productive conversation. So thank you for hanging out. But anyway, back to what you were saying.
Yeah. So like Amanda, I've ran into Amanda quite a few times going out and to do some protesting and stuff like that, and she's fantastic. Mm-hmm. She also
do I know Amanda? What do I Google to find a picture of her?
Amanda, I could actually send that to you if you would like. She's been on Johnny Palladia's lives quite a bit.
Oh yeah. I haven't met her, but I know her. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's been on Johnny's TikTok quite a bit. She's also Minnesotan. She's been doing a lot of protest work as well. Mm-hmm. So big shout out to Amanda. She's really cool, down to earth. And another thing too that I want to like have other Trump supporters know, right? And I know, given the stance of like my wife is a registered Republican, and a lot of times you will hear, oh, well, stay out of the cities because there's a massive protest going on. No, I actually encourage people to go into the cities, and I encourage people, especially if you have different beliefs, go out into the cities and actually have a conversation with us.
Yeah, and it's something I always have to preach, which is that, like, you know, the right and the media will always call, like, every little thing that happens a protest. Like, Alex Preddy died at a protest or whatever, and it's just like, well, he died responding to an ICE interaction in his neighborhood, which is these, like, little rapid response thing where people show up and blow whistles when ICE show up. That's very different than, like, No King's Day, where 100,000 people go listen to speeches and music. And those bigger, more organized protests where lots of people show up are, like, you're safer in that crowd than you are walking down the street on a normal day. You know, it's a super friendly, helpful environment. People give you water if you're thirsty. People give you free hand warmers if you're cold. People give you food if you're hungry. It's very festive, the all-inclusive. Because I'll say, don't bring your pets to the Whipple building. Don't bring your children to the Whipple building. Mm-hmm. It is dangerous there. You risk serious injury to your body. If you go there, you could die. You know, like these are people who do kill protesters. So, like, be careful. You are signing up for potentially some violence if you go to one of these legal demonstrations that start at the Whipple, and sometimes become illegal demonstrations if people start hurling sex toys at the car. Whatever. No, I'm not going to confirm or deny what I expect to happen on Saturday. But you know, like that's different. That's something. That's something different. That's like a different type of approach to this. But when we have No King's Day or the marches that we did in downtown during Metro Surge to demand that it would end, like, those are festive, happy, fun environments that everybody should go to, especially if you hate us all, because you can come see that we're not going to be mean to you. Unless you're like the instigators who show up, people like Cam Higby and Nick Sorter and them, we're mean to them because they're violent, dangerous monsters. And that's different than a Trump supporter show up. You show up and say, I voted for Trump. People might say "fuck you," but, like, you're not in danger. Like, that's not the environment at all. Whereas somebody like Cam Higby is infiltrating the signal chats that we use to protect our neighbors and families, and, like, gave the information to the FBI and posted it on Twitter to get people doxxed and have mobs of violent people go after everyday people who are just trying to protect their neighborhoods in a way that is perfectly legal, and not just legal but protected. It's constitutionally protected behavior, those signal chats. So, like, those people, we're mean to those people. I will admit, I've been mean to those people. Cam Higby hates my guts, which is I'm so proud of that fact. I'm so proud of that fact. He came to the march after Renee Good was murdered, and I called him out to the crowd. I followed him, pointing at him, and said, "That's Cam Higby. That is a right-wing instigator." And then he got chased out of the crowd, which, you know, like, fuck that guy. Frankly, like, that guy's a monster. But if you voted for Trump, I don't think you're a monster. I think you're probably just quite misguided. My whole evil fools paradigm that I'm always talking about. Cam Higby is one of the very few evil people who really support the evil that Trump is doing. Most people who support Trump are just completely fooled on what's good for them and what's good for the country.
Absolutely. And when you, like, if anybody does go to the Whipple demonstration or the protest out there, all I will say is that, like, how many times that I've been out there, like, there's really genuine good people out there where I've had taco trucks pull up and they were just dishing out burritos. We've had pizzas delivered there, as well as, like, hand warmers, water, coffee, energy drinks. Mind you, a lot of people are like, look at Minnesotans like, oh, well, you guys are paid protesters. I would really, really like to see a check.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I always respond to the same thing. I say, "Where's my paycheck?" You know, there's irony in the fact that I'm urging people to go to my Linktree and I suppose turn me into a paid protester by paying me for what I'm doing. But, like, yeah, this, like, idea that there's an organized effort to pay people to protest. 100,000 people came to No Kings just a week or two ago. How much were they paid? You know, like what on earth do you mean? What how could that possibly be? And on, like, the food thing, like, I remember, like, one time I was, like, standing there, like, yelling at the ICE agents, and somebody came up and handed me a cheeseburger, and I was, like, biting out of this cheeseburger, like, this is what community looks like. Where's your free lunch?
Right.
Like, you know, like, somebody's just, like, handing me food while I'm yelling at ICE agents. I like, literally, if I go out on a day where I need to go, like, if I'm going to do signal patrolling or something to do rapid response for ICE, some of the stuff I don't film and broadcast for my own safety and for the safety of the other people who do that type of stuff. Yep. I gotta, like, pack a lunch and have a backpack full of gear, make sure my devices are charged, and make sure I have some first aid equipment and personal protection equipment for when the tear gas comes out. Like, there's all this stuff I have to do. But if I go to the Whipple, if I go to one of these, like, organized protests, I don't worry about that so much because there's going to, it's like, it's a better division of labor for me to not worry about that and travel light because I will be fed. And if I get hurt, I will be rendered aid because there's systems in place to make sure that I'm fed and rendered aid at the Whipple because there are people less brave than me who don't want to go get in the face of an ICE agent, but they'll order a pizza or they'll bring some hand warmers or they'll bring some saline solution to rinse my eyes out after I get maced or whatever. So there's really incredible organization and community there. And if I go to the Whipple, it's not a big deal if I skipped breakfast, but if I'm going to go out on a big day of ice fishing, I got to eat a big hearty breakfast to make sure I'm fueled for the day. Iowa Golfer, I see you in the queue. I am just about to wrap up because I just crossed 2 hours, and this is the Just Us Girls part of the chat where I just hang out with some friendlies at the end while I don't care about views. So you called in the other day, and I remember you, and you are welcome back on some other time, but I'm just about to wrap up the stream.
And I want to know your take on one thing. Sure. I actually heard coming from like another panel, somebody said that the state of Minnesota is legitimately the ground zero of the revolution.
So I have like a particular thing that I'm like gonna like as part, like this is something I'm preparing with some of the like other activists I talk to, which is that when this is over, whenever that is, whether this is next week, if we or, if we invoke the 25th or something, or after the term, or like whatever justice we go for what's happened, when it comes time to charge the ICE agents, I will be a part of the political movement, the activistic movement that demands that the trials are held in Minnesota.
1,000%.
It's not Nuremberg 2.0. It's Minnesota 1.0. Bring them back. Those are our bad guys. I want to be in the courtroom. I want to point the finger. I want to play a video and say, here's a video of you violating my rights. I'm glad I can see your face this time. Answer to it. So yeah, not Nuremberg 2.0. Minnesota 1.0.
Absolutely it. And all of this is very interesting, and especially, I don't know if like you can agree with me, but Minnesota, right? This is like since the George Floyd protests and stuff like that. Before all of that, like what really has happened in Minnesota? We've gone pretty quiet. Like we weren't really known for too much, and nowadays
I got a deep track though. We've got our little like piece of Civil War history where it's like no, we've been on the good side since way back when. I think it was the governor of Virginia that demanded we return the Confederate battle flag that we won at the Battle of Gettysburg for sending our men there, and Jesse Ventura, who was our governor at the time, said, "Come and get it." That's
Facts.
what minutes. That's what we're nice until you give us a reason not to be. That's kind of the idea. Though I'm a bit of a poser. I'm a New Yorker. I moved here 10 years ago. But maybe that makes me a little bit more qualified to code switch between Minnesota Nice and Manhattan Direct.
Well, as long as if you got the accent, we're adopting you. So
Okay then.
Okay then.
Yeah. No
here we go.
Oh yeah. That's murder. That's tyranny. That's fascism.
Absolutely. Well, my man, I'm going to go ahead and let you wrap up your
yeah, thanks for hanging
stuff.
out. And if you see me in person on Saturday, come say hi.
Absolutely, will do.
I don't even know what time. I'm probably going to get there around 10, but usually Saturday demonstrations at the Whipple start at noon, and that's Central Standard Time for those who are going to be trying to watch live. But follow me on everything because I can't do it all on TikTok because it gets violent there. So YouTube, Instagram. Actually, I'll let you go eyes on Minnesota because I'll do my post roll and tell the last couple people in here type of things I want to say at the end of the stream. Got anything else?
Absolutely. No, I just hope everybody's going to be safe, especially for the ones that are going to be out protesting this weekend. I truly hope something happens with this administration. Hopefully either the 25th or impeachment is going to be enacted. Mm-hmm. I hope, just pray for the country, like for those who are of faith, by all means, pray for the country. If you're in a different faith, by all means, pray in your own way, I guess. But yeah, we really need it. And, I hope everybody, stays safe during these times and, hopefully spread love to your neighbor. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Be good to your neighbor. There's something the Bible taught us, right?
Yep.
Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for hanging out. It's very meaningful to me that I can like resign from trying to promote the stream, and then like an hour later I still have, you know, like enough people that if it was in person it would give people stage fright, because there's like 20 of you in here, and that's fantastic. I mean, Tim Fisher showed up and said, how come everybody thinks they're a podcaster? And I'm like, I the thing I always say about like people trashing on my performance doing this is that even if it was my first live and there was 0 people watching, like everybody has to start somewhere. It's been a while since I've started, and if we like cross-platform, I have millions of viewers because of how well the clips from these lives do. So yeah. Also, somebody else like commented the dig right after, and yet here you are taking time out of your day. Yeah, dude, like you're watching. The algorithm decided to push the stream to you. But yeah, I mean, here I am doing a podcast. I guess that makes me a podcaster, right? Anyway, post-roll time. Before I say goodbye to everybody, just a reminder that if you're one of the 17 people who hung out to the very end of us just sitting here smelling each other's farts for an hour after we got done talking to the Trump supporters, there are totally free ways to help me. Following me on the various platforms helps a lot with certain goals I have to unlock features that make it easier for me to monetize this and make it easier for me to like make sure my accounts get good support and stuff. So we're on TikTok right now. You can follow me here if you got a YouTube account and you have an Instagram account. You don't need to watch me on there to follow me, and that number ticking up does materially help me. And if you really want me to be able to spend more time doing this, you really think that Oskar Quentin is a good debater, a good podcast host, there's like some not free ways to help out with that in the link tree in the bio, and I appreciate all of that. So on that note, I am going to sign off for the day. Thanks everybody for hanging out, and thanks, what was their name? Robin for the Galaxy. I'll see you guys tomorrow because I'm streaming every day now, round about the same time in the morning.